Since the dawn of time, incomprehensible beings known as the Absolutes created countless universes. Their power was endless, and their desire to understand existence pushed them to shape laws, souls, matter, and life itself. Yet even with unlimited creation at their fingertips, boredom eventually consumed them. One Absolute found amusement by watching the conflicts of the beings he created. He observed their struggles, wars, betrayals, and the cycles of death and rebirth, hoping their chaos held answers to the questions he could not solve. But then the unthinkable happened. In one of these wars, a creation killed its own creator. For the first time, an Absolute had been slain. The other Absolutes saw this not as a warning, but as an opportunity. Their fallen kin's power was now free to claim. Meanwhile, far away from these cosmic events, a boy named Suho received unexpected news. He had been accepted into the Korean National Institute of Arts. His friends could hardly believe it. They doubted someone like him could have passed the entrance exam. One even complained that Suho should have retaken it. Suho only laughed, saying he had finally escaped the hell of exams. Their teasing was interrupted when a voice called out behind them. Suho turned to see a boy glaring at him. Suho mistakenly called him Kim Seong-kol, which angered him immediately. His real name was Leon Cole, and Suho's casual attitude annoyed him even more. Leon accused Suho of ruining his plans to enter a good high school. Suho simply replied that thanks to Leon, he managed to graduate. Their classmates sensed the tension. Leon had always been the type to provoke Suho. Leon's resentment made no sense to anyone. Suho had already suffered enough after losing his parents, yet Leon continued to pick fights. When Leon finally lunged at him, Suho calmly countered with a precise strike and told him to keep quiet until graduation. But Leon wasn't finished. A strange glow surrounded his hand, something Suho had never seen before. Leon unleashed a powerful punch filled with unknown energy. Suho barely dodged. The shock of the attack stunned the entire class as the force shattered nearby iron lockers. Leon's entire body glowed with a terrifying aura, transforming him into something otherworldly. 2 years passed. Now a university student, Suho still remembered that day. As he walked through campus, he overheard staff announcing that classes had been moved because hunters were sweeping a nearby gate. Ever since gates began appearing 3 years ago, the world had transformed. Hunters emerged to stop monsters from escaping, and some humans awakened to magical powers. Society split into 2 groups: the awakened, ordinary people like Suho. No matter how hard a normal person tried, they could never match even the weakest hunter. Suho often felt powerless, especially after losing his parents. He wondered what his father would have done in times like these. In class, Suho's teacher noticed he had been unusually focused. When the teacher looked at Suho's drawing, he found something unsettling. What looked like a human ant. Suho himself could not explain why he drew something so strange. Outside, hunters were finishing the gate raid. A staff member thanked Hunter Kim Jong-soo, who explained they had encountered a new species of humanoid beasts with blue flames pouring from their eyes and mouths. They were low-rank creatures, but unlike anything seen before. Suddenly, blue flames erupted from Kim Jong-soo's wound. His eyes ignited with the same eerie fire as his body trembled violently. Before anyone could react, he lunged at a nearby staff member. Consumed by the flames, he was no longer himself. Panic exploded as people fled. The flames could spread through bites, turning anyone infected into another burning monster. Inside the classroom, the chaos could be heard from outside. Students rushed to the windows, only to witness people attacking each other, their bodies engulfed in blue fire. Someone begged their professor, Torm, to act since he was awakened, but he admitted he was only an E rank and helpless against this threat. Suho's eyes widened when he saw a flaming hunter sprinting straight toward their building. He shouted for everyone to get away, but it was too late. The possessed hunter crashed through the window and began attacking students. The classroom erupted in screams. Suho ran toward the hallway, urging others to escape. But then he saw a girl on the ground, crying in pain, unable to move. Fear overtook him, and he turned away, yelling that he would get help. Guilt hit him immediately, powerless. He thought of his parents, especially his father. His father would never have abandoned someone in danger. Determined, Suho turned back. The hunter was closing in on the girl. Suho grabbed a fire extinguisher and charged forward. With desperate strength, he struck the hunter again and again, knocking it back just long enough to pull the girl to safety. Breathing hard, Suho realized he had made the choice his father would have made. At that moment, something appeared before his eyes, a message. You have completed the hidden quest, Courage of the Powerless. For a fleeting moment, Suho remembered a vivid dream that had always felt more than a dream. In it he fought through wave after wave of monsters, leveling up like a player in a game. He wore powerful gloves and unlocked new skills as each battle pushed him to adapt. At the final stage, he faced the ultimate boss and, to his shock, that final enemy was his father. He could not bring himself to strike him. The memory lingered now, folding into the chaos around him. Back in the present, Suho gripped the fire extinguisher and prepared to face the possessed hunter, whose body burned with blue flame. The scene mirrored the final confrontation from his dream. He heard his father's imagined counsel in his mind and pushed forward. The infected hunter rampaged, spreading the curse with every bite. Desperation made Suho swing the extinguisher again and again, trying to protect his classmates and stop the infection. Then everything stopped. Time itself froze. The girl Suho had saved stood motionless. The hunter hung suspended. A notification appeared in front of him, secret quest completed. Courage of the Powerless. You have been offered the chance to become a player. It matched his recurring dream. In that instant, Suho accepted. He was no longer merely an ordinary, unawakened bystander. The system had chosen him. The system awarded him a spell from the mage Kandiaru and bestowed a profound blessing, immunity to illness, poison, and harmful effects, plus an extended, disease-free life. The system also warned that this was no dream. He had one life. He needed to be careful. When time resumed, Suho noticed new markers above the infected. They were labeled mist burns, targets for him to eliminate. Some were ordinary citizens cursed by the blue flame. Others had been hunters before infection took hold. Suho tested his new power. He used the extinguisher to knock one mist burn away, then discarded it to try his fists. His punch sent the creature flying through the ceiling. The system confirmed his kill and his level increased. Emboldened, he fought a second mist burn and defeated it. Each victory felt surreal but real. He realized the system truly granted him growth and stats, just like in his dream. Not every opponent went down easily. One creature barely flinched when Suho struck it. It proved far stronger than the earlier ones. The fight grew brutal. The mist burn wounded him severely. Pain seared through his body, and he feared the worst infection and becoming one of them. Then a system alert reminded him of the long life blessing he had earned. The ability activated and kept him from dying or being consumed by disease. As the battle intensified, new notifications arrived, additional skill points, and a strength boost. With those, Suho broke free from the monster's grip. He hurled it across the room. The creature recovered quickly and attacked again, but Suho did not relent. He poured everything into the fight, investing all his points into strength. The surge worked. His punches now shook the ground. With a final barrage, he smashed the beast into the far wall and finished it off. The system confirmed the kill and another level up. Exhausted, bloody, but alive, Suho sat back and absorbed what had just happened. He had awakened. Where once he felt powerless and insignificant, now he felt a new confidence. He believed he could protect others and answer the threat of the mist burns. Outside, a different threat closed in. A massive, silent hunter moved through the horde, dragging a colossal sword that scraped the ground. Agile despite its weight, the hunter launched itself toward the building. From a window, Suho watched as a C-rank mist burn, an awakened enemy wielding a sword, lunged at him. The attack hit with devastating force. Debris flew and dust filled the air. The scene made clear that some foes were far beyond the level he had just beaten, with Suho left to face not only his new responsibilities, but escalating danger. He has gained power, but the world's threats are already proving they will not yield easily. Suho has awakened and leveled up, but a C-rank mist burn at his doorstep signals that his real trials are only beginning. The city was in turmoil. An urgent announcement blared through the streets. A D-rank dungeon break had occurred near the Korean University district, and residents were ordered to evacuate immediately. Soldiers on rooftops watched helplessly as chaos consumed the area. They had strict orders not to intervene. The commander pressed his subordinate for news of the Hunters Association, but only learned that the association still needed time to dispatch stronger hunters. Even a D-rank team might not be enough. Reports suggested the threat could be far worse. Suho realized he was alone. The mist burns would not relent, and help was not coming soon. Inside the building, a mistburn leapt onto his floor, a sea rank corrupted by the fog, wielding a massive sword. This was no ordinary monster. It was intelligent, lethal, and far stronger than the low-level creatures he had faced. Despite fear, Suho felt new confidence from his recent awakening. The mistburn charged and swung its sword. Suho narrowly dodged. The creature paused, unnerving him with its unpredictability. It was cold and calculating, a psychopath rather than a mindless beast. When the mistburn raised its sword to finish him, Suho hurled a fire extinguisher. The monster sliced it in half, releasing a dense cloud of mist that enveloped the room and reduced visibility to nearly nothing. Facing the creature head-on would be suicide. Suho decided to retreat and buy time for the hunters. As he fled through the building, he sensed the monster tracking him. Peering through a window, Suho saw 3 terrified girls huddled on a rooftop. The mistburn abandoned its pursuit of him and leaped toward the girls. Suho faced a choice: run while he could, or try to save innocent lives. He chose to act. He leaped from the window and pursued the monster. Attacking from behind, Suho momentarily surprised the beast, but it barely registered his blows. The creature countered with terrifying speed and precision. Suho's barrage of punches failed to stop it. He grew exhausted. The monster landed a brutal hit, slicing deep into him and sending him crashing against a wall. His health plummeted, death felt imminent. As Suho lay near defeat, the system notifications warned his fatigue was critical. His vision blurred. Time, and possibly reality itself, seemed to crack. The monster moved in for the killing blow, but the sky split open above them. The structure collapsed as an unknown, enormous creature tore through the rooftop and interrupted the fight. Both Suho and the mistburn fell. Suho hit the ground hard, bloodied and barely conscious. At the edge of death, a strange memory of an ant he often drew crossed his mind and oddly calmed him. He then heard an apologetic voice, an ant, like being stood over him. It had arrived too late to prevent the struggle, but in time to save Suho. The ant-like creature attacked the mistburn with furious speed and obliterated it almost instantly. Other monsters in the area were also wiped out in a wave of destruction as a powerful force. Beru unleashed overwhelming magical energy. Soldiers nearby felt the surge but could not comprehend what had occurred. The ant-like being returned to Suho and greeted him. Bu, a companion of Beru, expressed fondness and remarked on how long it had been since they last met, addressing Suho as his young monarch. Memories resurfaced as Bu recalled Suho as a young child, quietly drawing shadow warriors in his room. In one memory, Suho looked up and saw the real Bu holding his drawing. The moment deeply moved Bu. His young master had imagined and drawn him long before they ever met. The connection was powerful enough to bring him to tears. Back in the present, Suho slowly regained consciousness. Wrapped in a blanket and lying in a hospital bed, he was confused. His first word, "Aunt," left the doctor baffled. Moments later, Suho received a call from his uncle, who worried about his condition and insisted the world had grown too dangerous. He even suggested hiring bodyguards, but Suho reassured him he was fine. On TV, news of the University of Arts attack dominated every broadcast. Mistburns had appeared, turning hunters into monsters, plunging the city into chaos. The Hunter Association's response had been slow, and by the time they arrived, the city was already in ruins. Strangely, all the monsters were already dead. No one knew who or what had wiped them out. Witnesses claimed that some of the transformed hunters had even reappeared out of thin air. As Suho sat in his hospital bed, everything felt surreal. He thought about awakening, power levels, and how he had managed to survive a fight he should not have. Suddenly, a familiar voice echoed in his mind, Beru. Looking down, Suho saw a massive shadow with glowing eyes. "It's been so long, my young lord," Beru said warmly. "You've grown into an incredible person." The sight stirred forgotten memories. As a child, Suho had loved ants. One black ant-like creature had always been with him, though he had never understood why. Now, his memories were slowly returning. Beru explained that crossing dimensions consumed enormous mana. When he first arrived on Earth, the system had registered him as a mere common soldier, a humiliating downgrade that infuriated him. Suho stood up and asked if Beru was the one who healed him. Beru confirmed it. The conversation then shifted. Beru revealed Suho's true mission, dispelling the shadow seal that had bound his power. But Suho had already broken it on his own without realizing it. Then came the revelation that shattered his understanding of his past. Beru explained. The great shadow monarch, Sung Jin. Wu sealed both your power and your memories. He wanted you to live a normal life, free from the burdens of your lineage. Su froze. My father did that. He whispered. He had always assumed his father abandoned them, but Beru clarified. No, did not leave. He ascended to another plane of existence, into space. Suho struggled to process its space. A cosmic war, Beru explained further. The Shadow Army was fighting an overwhelming battle in the vast universe. Sung Jin, Wu was protecting Earth from powerful entities, including an absolute being that sought to conquer their world through its apostles. Suho then asked about his mother, who disappeared when he was still with his father. Beru's expression softened. No, she is not with him. Her disappearance is tied to other forces. The news only raised more questions, and Beru's anger flared at the mention of Miss Hain. He suspected the apostles played a role. Suho wondered if the enemy, the Itarim, had torn his family apart. Determined, Suho declared that he wanted to become strong enough to save his mother and meet his father again. Beru explained that because of the war, Sung Jin, Wu could not return to Earth. If Suho wanted answers, he had to gain power himself. As Suho resolved to grow stronger, a new system window appeared before him. Quest unlocked. Shadow test. His innate abilities as the son of the Shadow Monarch were sealed, and to reclaim them, he must enter a dark dungeon accessible only through the Key of the Shadow. Beru instructed him to place the key into his own shadow. The moment Suho did so, a shadow gate materialized. Beru gave him a final warning before he entered. Go inside, young master, and reclaim the powers that are yours by right. Despite lingering doubts, Suho knew he had no choice. The path to saving his parents required strength. He stepped through the portal, and Beru followed. On the other side, Suho emerged into a vast, eerie realm. Beru spoke solemnly. This is the Dark Dungeon, the abode of the dead. No living being may enter without the master's permission. Dangerous creatures fill this place. Survival will not be easy. The surroundings resembled a crumbling, abandoned city drowned in shadows and silence. Suho felt a heavy unease settle in his chest. The true test of the Shadow Monarch's heir had begun. Though uneasy, Su couldn't shake the feeling that this dark dungeon was strangely familiar, as if he had been here once before. His thoughts were interrupted by a system notification. The message was blunt. The leadership of the Dungeon of Shadows will never recognize someone as weak as you. Survive for 4 hours to prove yourself. Steeling himself, Suho prepared for the test. The trial began immediately. A creature lunged from behind. Acting on instinct, Suho spun and delivered a sharp kick, sending it sprawling. It was a goblin scout. Beru quickly warned him. If there's a scout, more goblins are close. Deal with it before it alerts them. Suho tightened his grip and attacked. Beru cautioned him not to be reckless, noting that this goblin was nameless and weak. Several times weaker than Suho. Ignoring its frailty, Suho grabbed it, ripped the stone axe from its inventory, and eliminated it in seconds. A notification confirmed the scout's defeat. But before Suho could breathe, another goblin perched on a rooftop called out, summoning more. Stronger goblins appeared, yellow names glowing above them, along with goblin captains. Suho asked Beru for help, explained that being far from his master limited his energy. If he fought, Suho's experience gain would drop, meaning Suho had to handle the battle alone. Focused, Suho activated his ability. The stone axe behind him rose into the air under his control, flying forward like an invisible hand was guiding it. It slashed through goblins one after another. A new skill flashed across Suho's status window, proof he had unlocked a unique telekinetic-style ability. An arrow whizzed past his head. Suho caught it midair and spotted the archer, a goblin with a magical bow, on a rooftop. He counterattacked immediately, defeating it. Watching Suho adapt so quickly reminded Beru of an old legend, the Little Lord, a mythical figure who wielded the monarch's power freely. That power had once caused chaos, but now, with the apostles invading again, Beru believed this reborn strength would protect the world. As Suho fought, he felt power swelling within him. He leveled up again. But another goblin crept up behind him and struck, only to be instantly countered by Suho, who took it down in a single hit. Then the battlefield shifted. A powerful aura washed over the area, a goblin centurion, towering over the others, radiating red energy. Suho steadied himself and charged. He moved with confidence, slashing through goblins rapidly as the centurion approached. Seeing an opening, Suho hurled his dagger with full force. It struck perfectly. For the first time, Suho felt fully alive, fueled by real battle, real power. But the trial wasn't over. He needed to endure for the full 4 hours. The system blinked again, new skill unlocked resilience. His level rose, and his endurance grew. With renewed strength, Suho cut down the last goblins. A notification appeared: trial completed. Reward rune stone. Beru was ecstatic. He explained that the rune stone contained shadow extraction, the power to create shadow soldiers. A defining ability of the Shadow Monarch himself. Suho examined his stats. His resilience had increased. His awakening was progressing faster than he expected. Beru revealed why Suho's leveling system was an advanced version of the one his father, Sung Jinwoo, once used, tailored specifically for Suho's growth. He was destined to become the mightiest Shadow Lord. Holding the rune stone, Suho cracked it open. Dark power surged into him. The notification confirmed it: new skill unlocked, shadow extraction. This ability allowed Suho to resurrect the fallen as shadow soldiers, beings weaker than him, bound to obey their master. Though summoning skills were usually overlooked by hunters, Beru knew this one was extraordinary. It was the very core of his father's legendary power. Before using the skill, the system asked Su to assign a unique command. He paused for a moment, then chose the most iconic phrase of all: arise. And with that word, Suho took his first step toward becoming the next Shadow Monarch. The moment Suho spoke the command, shadows coalesced. From the darkness, small figures took shape: shadow goblins. Smaller and weaker than their living originals, but unmistakably bound to his will. Suho's doubts vanished. Shadow extraction was real and powerful. The system informed him these shadow soldiers would persist for 24 hours. Beru noted that Suho still hadn't unlocked the shadow power skill, which would later raise his soldiers' strength and intelligence. Suho shrugged it off for now. Hungry after more than a day without food, Suho used the shadow dungeon key to exit. He found himself in a makeshift hospital tent and ate a simple, satisfying meal while Beru hovered nearby, calling him my little overlord. Beru laid out Suho's 3 primary missions: defend Earth from demonic invaders, level up through dungeon hunts to strengthen himself and his shadow soldiers, and the most personal task: find Suho's missing mother. Beru explained they couldn't pinpoint her location yet. Clues would come by defeating more foes in dungeons. Beru also needed to regain strength. He could absorb magical items and convert them into shadow energy, though it wasn't as efficient as raw mana. With a plan forming, Suho decided to train in real dungeons. But first he needed official evaluation by the Hunter Association. The association's test measured raw magical power. Suho's result was low. He was ranked among the weakest hunters. Frustrated, Suho vented to Beru, who explained that rankings favor pure magic output, whereas Suho had emphasized physical power. Rankings wouldn't stop him. Even low-ranked hunters could join extraction teams, which collected resources and crystals inside dungeons. That gave Suho a way in. On his first official extraction run, Suho met a familiar face, a former teaching assistant from the art department who had awakened as an E-rank hunter. The man apologized for not helping when Suho had been a student. Suho reassured him and joked lightly. Beru materialized beside Suho, explaining he remained visible to protect his lord. The assistant panicked at Beru's appearance, thinking a demonic creature had appeared. Deeper into the cave-like dungeon, the team hunted demonic wolves and searched for valuable wolf pelts and magic stones. Their greed drove them onward until they entered an enormous, brightly lit chamber covered in unfamiliar symbols. In the center, on a pedestal, rested an ancient weapon, unlike anything they'd seen. Debate turned to curiosity and greed. Was it treasure or trap? Ignoring caution, the team's captain grabbed the weapon. The blade ignited with brilliant light, and the captain's surroundings shifted into a strange realm. When he swung the sword, he suddenly struck down one of his own teammates. The rest watched in horror as the captain's form distorted and his voice changed. Declaring himself the Sword of the Monarch of the Fong, he vowed to destroy any intruders in the monarch's territory. The corrupted captain, now declaring himself the Sword of the Monarch of the Fang, tore through his former allies with terrifying precision. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the dungeon, the support crew remained unaware that a gate had sealed them off from the main team. During this time, Suho demonstrated his ability to summon shadow goblins. His comrade was stunned. Most summoners could only bring forth 1 or 2 creatures, Yet Suho effortlessly summoned 3. Still, his low rank made no sense. His companion noted that shadow extraction required physical bodies to function, which limited the skill, but with goblin corpses scattered everywhere, Su had an endless supply. Suho was beginning to understand the full potential of shadow extraction. Although low, ranked hunters were prohibited from entering dungeons alone. He knew the ranking system wasn't perfect. Machines sometimes malfunctioned, misreading a hunter's power. If he kept leveling up, he might be re-evaluated and receive the proper rank. Suho then reminded Beru of their third mission. Regaining strength and finding clues about Suho's missing mother, he pointed to the magic crystals scattered throughout the dungeon. They contained latent magic. Beru agreed. As he went to absorb their energy, he suddenly froze. He sensed something. A monarch's presence, he murmured. Shocked, Suho asked if it could be his father. Beru shook his head. Although Sung Jinwoo was indeed a monarch, the only one. If it were your father, my full power would have returned instantly, Beru said. This presence belongs to someone else. In another part of the dungeon, the diggers felt the ground tremble. A demonic creature emerged from the darkness, a monster that hadn't been there earlier. Panic erupted. One miner swung his pickaxe in desperation, but the demon dog crushed it effortlessly. Just as the creature lunged, Suho appeared and struck it with a powerful blow. "Get out of here! I'll hold them off," he shouted. The miner fled, leaving Suho alone against a pack of demon dogs, all marked with threatening orange nameplates. But Suho felt confident. His power had grown, and he summoned 3 shadow goblins to guard the miner just in case. He opened his inventory, pulling out relics far better than a simple pickaxe. His comrade was stunned, unable to imagine how a low-ranked hunter could wield such high-level gear. Suho charged forward, cutting down demon dogs one after another. A system notification confirmed the defeat of the steel tooth pack. Without pausing, Suho raised the shadow of the demon dog he had just slain. The revived creature immediately turned against its former pack, assisting him in clearing the rest. Beru watched proudly. Su realized shadow summoning didn't drain nearly as much mana as he'd feared, meaning he could grow his army as his magic increased. He summoned another demon dog, then a third. His comrade was horrified and amazed. "So, what kind of power is this? This can't be a ranky ability! How are you bringing monsters back to life?" Suho forced a casual smile. "Just a unique perk of my rank," he lied. But his comrade wasn't convinced. He wondered aloud if Suho had intentionally registered under a lower rank. Ignoring the suspicion, Suho turned toward the cave entrance, the source of the demonic presence. He sensed someone else ahead. The silhouette resembled a human, but something felt wrong. As Suho and his comrade approached, they saw someone from the captured team. Relief washed over his comrade. "You survived! How did you escape the ambush?" The figure slowly turned, his expression dark and unnatural. Suho reacted instantly, dragging his comrade back as a massive sword slashed past, shattering the man's glasses. The corrupted hunter attacked with murderous intent. Suho ordered his shadow wolves to charge. As they surrounded the enemy, Suho pulled his comrade away, explaining that the hunter was no longer human. His nameplate was glowing red, marking him as a high-threat enemy. Su remembered fighting a red-level creature once before at the University of Arts. It had been overwhelming. Facing another one now was extremely dangerous. After putting distance between themselves and the foe, Suho turned to Beru. "What did you mean when you sensed the monarch's energy?" Beru replied. "This hunter carries a trace of a monarch's essence. It's faint, nowhere near the real thing, but even that makes him dangerous." Suho nodded gravely. He opened his inventory, planning his next move. Beru looked concerned. "Young lord, do you truly intend to fight him?" Suho's answer was steady, unwavering. The system's warning echoed in Suho's mind. This trial was assigned to push him to his limits. There was a way to overcome the enemy before him. Realizing this, Suho's determination hardened. If he wanted to stand against real threats, monarchs, apostles, and whatever awaited him in the future, he needed to grow stronger now. Destroying this corrupted hunter would give him the experience and levels he desperately needed. He emptied every weapon from his inventory onto the ground, preparing for the battle. Watching him, Beru spoke with admiration, noting how Suho's refusal to back down proved he possessed strength worthy of a monarch's bloodline. As the possessed hunter drew near, Beru pointed out something critical. The force controlling him comes from the sword. Disarm him, and he loses his power. Suho immediately ordered his shadow wolves to attack. They lunged from every angle, overwhelming the corrupted hunter. One wolf finally clamped onto the sword, holding it in place. Suho watched closely as the hunter struggled to break free. Beru reminded Suho that shadow soldiers could regenerate endlessly as long as he supplied them with magic. It gave Suho an advantage, but the hunter was powerful enough to tear through a wolf in a single swing. Suho realized that his magic power was still too low compared to the hunter's strength. Then the hunter looked at Suho with disdain and mocked him. "How can someone like you wield the Shadow Monarch's power?" Suho was startled that the hunter could speak, but Beru stepped forward indignantly. "Show respect. He carries the blood of the Shadow Monarch." The hunter snarled, recognizing Suho as an enemy of the Fangs, and vowed to destroy him. Suho launched forward, unleashing a rapid series of attacks, but the hunter deflected every strike with ease. Realizing brute force wouldn't work, Suho changed tactics. He scattered his weapons around the battlefield and attacked from all angles at once, using his ruler-like power to strike with multiple objects simultaneously. Beru watched in awe. Only a true Shadow Monarch could command shadows like this, yet Suho, who was just discovering his powers, was doing it instinctively. Still, the hunter shattered one of Suho's weapons and mocked him again. Suho smirked, refusing to be baited. "Insults won't pull me closer. You want to provoke me because you're afraid to approach." His earlier conversation with Beru echoed in his mind. The seal his father placed on him was still unlocking. Each battle made him stronger. Suho realized that his trial was similar to the combat simulations he'd experienced in the Tower of Trials. If he only had something like the iron gloves from that dream, at that moment, an idea sparked. Beru's explanation returned to him. Shadow soldiers can transform. Their weapons can be reshaped. Their forms can be altered. Suho summoned his shadow wolves again. The red hunter laughed, calling them useless, until Suho concentrated and compressed shadow energy around his fists. The battlefield trembled. The hunter swung. An explosion ripped through the air, but when the dust settled, Suho stood firm, fists wrapped in shadow-forged gauntlets. Iron glove transformation. The system confirmed. It was the power he needed. The hunter lunged again, but this time Suho met him head-on. The force of Suho's strike sent the corrupted hunter crashing into the dungeon wall. Stone shattered and dust filled the air. Beru watched with astonishment. Suho wasn't just imitating his father. He was creating new techniques from the very essence of shadow and ruler power. The hunter rose, screaming in defiance. But Suho hurled his weapon with flawless precision, and the battle ended with a decisive final blow. The red hunter, defeated and exhausted, muttered that he once believed his red-ranked power was invincible, but Suho had proven otherwise. Beru, who had quietly believed in Suho's victory from the start, nodded in approval. As Suho raised his hand, he realized he had instinctively learned a new, powerful combat technique during the battle. With the fight concluded, the system offered him his quest rewards. Suho accepted, and the results appeared immediately. His first reward was a runestone containing the Storm Strike technique, and the second was instant mastery over the skill. A radiant blur surrounded him as Storm Strike became a part of his abilities, the knowledge etched into his mind as if he had always known it. To test his new power, Suho swung a nearby weapon and shattered the rocks around him, experiencing firsthand the overwhelming force of Storm Strike, though it drained his mana significantly. As he trained, a mocking voice echoed from the defeated Red Hunter's sword, blaming the failure on human greed. Suho ignored it, focusing on the blade before him. When he lifted it, the system chimed. He had acquired a new item, Rockenfong, an elegant and powerful weapon. The sword still carried traces of its own will, surprised that Suho had inherited it. Suho practiced Storm Strike with the sword, comparing its feel to raw shadow power. Beru explained that true shadow power was thousands of times stronger, though Suho's progress was impressive. When survivors began regaining consciousness, Suho reassured them that explanations would come later and guided them out of the dungeon. Once outside, relieved families reunited, but Suho remained inside, determined to find any remaining survivors. Deep within the dungeon, he cut through iron demon hounds with precision. As he fought, he noticed the sword's attack power weakening. The sentient sword claimed the drop in power came from aligning itself with the Shadow Monarch's heir. Beru scoffed at this, calling it shameful for such a proud weapon to weaken simply because Suho, far stronger than the sword, was wielding it. The sword argued that real hunters didn't waste their strength on weak prey, but Beru retorted that Suho had already defeated foes far stronger than the sword itself. Suho briefly reflected on how surreal it was to speak to both a massive talking ant and a sentient sword, but continued through the dungeon until he reached the place where he had pulled the blade free earlier. There, Suho found the fallen hunters who had been wiped out by the corrupted Fong monarch's influence. The sword declared that this area was a sacred sanctuary and that any intruder would face destruction. Ignoring the warning, Suho returned the sword to its slot and looked at the bodies around him. A system notification appeared, offering the option to use shadow extraction on one of the hunters. So hesitated. Beru confirmed it was possible to extract a human shadow so long as the body was dead. But Suho quietly lifted the remains and carried them toward the exit instead. Beru was surprised and asked why. Suho replied that turning someone into a shadow soldier after death felt like a punishment, and he wouldn't do that to them. His respect for the dead left Beru stunned. Suho then questioned Beru about this being the sanctuary of the Fong monarch and how the defeated lord had ties to the Itarim. Beru explained that the Itarim were current enemies of the Shadow Monarch, while the other monarchs were past enemies, who once tried to invade Earth. Beru listed the 9 great monarchs: the Beast King, the Fong Monarch, the Queen of Insects, Plague Monarch the Iron, Bodied Monarch, Ruler of Monstrous Humanoids, the White Flame Monarch, King of Demons, the Colossal Giant Monarch, the Lord of the Beginning, the Frost Monarch, Ruler of Snowfolk the Monarch of Transfiguration, Lord of Spectral Demons, and Suho's father, Sung Jinwoo. The Shadow Monarch, King of Death. 8 monarchs had fallen when they attempted to conquer Earth. Only Sung Jinwoo had defeated them all. The sword growled that if its power were restored, it would tear Suho apart and feed him to wolves. Suho calmly responded, saying he understood its perspective. His father had fought to protect the world, just as the sword was created to defend this sanctuary. Suho pointed out that they were both protecting something important. He revealed his true purpose: to grow strong enough to meet his parents again. He asked the sword to join him in defending the sanctuary and the world. For a moment, the sword fell silent, considering Suho's resolve. Meanwhile, outside the dungeon, reporters gathered around Lim Dong Yun in a cafe. He shared his testimony of Suho's bravery despite being an E-rank hunter. Articles quickly spread, praising Suho as an unlikely hero who saved fellow hunters from disaster. In a guild management office, staff discussed hiring needs. One assistant found a report about an E-rank hunter who had saved a mining team, rescued an injured hunter, and helped suppress monsters in a dungeon. Surprised at his rank, the team debated whether they should bring Suho into their prestigious guild. The second in command decided it was worth inviting him, especially since Suho had already received an offer from the elite Black Turtles Guild. At the guild office, staff members assumed Suho must be thrilled after receiving an invitation from the prestigious Black Turtles Guild. But one colleague corrected them. Suho had declined the offer. The room fell silent. An E-rank rookie turning down a top-tier guild made no sense to them. The second in command muttered angrily, questioning whether Suho believed himself to be some kind of S-rank. Another staffer added that Suho simply wasn't interested in joining any guild at all. The leader scoffed, convinced Suho would eventually realize how difficult survival was without a guild's support. Meanwhile, back at his apartment, Suho checked his phone. His inbox was overflowing with guild invitations, but almost every offer wanted him as a porter or collector. He dismissed them all immediately. Joining a guild would slow down his growth with the system. He couldn't afford to waste time on duties that didn't contribute to leveling up. Turning his attention to the sword, Suho asked Fang Rocken about their earlier discussion. Shadow and Fang, are you still open to it? The sword responded skeptically. A shadow becoming a true ally. The idea seemed impossible, but after a pause, Rocken added a condition: take me to another sacred land of the Fang monarch. Suho asked if it knew the location. Rocken replied with confidence. It knew all Fang monarch sanctuaries. However, one of the gates had vanished, meaning the site had suffered a dungeon break. Realization hit Suho. This meant the holy ground had turned into an open dungeon, overflowing with powerful monsters. Without hesitation, Suho texted his uncle, saying he would be unreachable for a while. He needed to seize this chance to grow stronger as quickly as possible. Later, Suho asked Beru if they were close, and Beru confirmed they had arrived. But in the parking lot, they saw signs prohibiting entry. The Hyena Guild, infamous for recruiting former gang members, had claimed the area, making things more dangerous. Beru advised Suho to ignore the petty creatures and focus on leveling up. Fang and Beru then began their usual bickering, prompting an irritated Suho to cut them off. He stated clearly that he was breaking in, and he already had a plan. Suho shouted the surveillance cameras one by one. Beru asked what he would do if the guild noticed, but Suho simply replied that he had taken care of everything. The final camera burst into fragments, leaving no evidence. Beru couldn't help but comment that Suho's approach reminded him of the monarch. Once inside, Suho was struck by the eerie blue mist filling the open dungeon. Beru explained that this mist was high-density mana leaking from another realm. It originated from the Fang Monarch's sanctum, seeping into Earth through a dimensional rift. Outer world beings were trying to create a massive breach. Only weaker creatures could cross for now, but stronger ones were coming. Suho knew he had to level up fast, before any other hunters interfered. Then he looked up. Colossal figures lurked among the trees, a sharp, clawed brigger, and a shadowy creature named Raymond. Fang excitedly encouraged Suho to unleash his power, but Suho said he wouldn't rely on Fang as his main weapon. Fang was stunned. Suho had developed a plan. He would mix close, range combat with monarch powers, switch weapons as needed, and use shadow extraction to keep strengthening himself. Beru was thrilled with Suho's strategy. Recognizing the potential of a true Shadow Monarch's successor, Fang realized it as well. The more Suho fought, the stronger he became. With his expanded intelligence stat, Suho could now summon 5 shadows, though Beru quickly reminded him that the original monarch commanded thousands. Embarrassed, Suho told Beru to keep quiet. As they progressed deeper, Suho noticed a building where the Holy Gate was supposed to be. Fang confirmed that this warehouse now stood on the Fang Monarch, sacred ground. Despite the late hour, people were busy working around the facility. Then a vehicle arrived. Several people were forcefully removed, hands and legs bound. A kidnapping. Suho's expression turned cold. Beru warned that they were trespassing. Getting involved might expose them. But before he finished speaking, Suho was already gone. Driven by the values ingrained by his father, a veteran police officer, and his firefighter grandfather, Suho could not stand by while innocent people were taken. He dashed forward with blinding speed and delivered a powerful kick that sent the nearest hunter flying. The rescue had begun. The shadows nearby were stunned by Suho's decisive attack. The Hyena Guild hunters, shocked that one of their men had been taken down instantly, froze as the silhouette of Suho appeared before them. His body had reacted faster than his thoughts, and only then did Suho realize he had just assaulted hunters on another guild's territory. He quickly donned his shadow mask and confronted them. "Were you seriously kidnapping people? What is your Hyena Guild doing?" The hunters, enraged and confused, demanded to know why he had trespassed. They warned that by attacking them, he had sealed his fate. Weapons drawn, magic flared around them as they prepared to retaliate. One lunged forward, but Suho slipped past every attack with ease. He remembered the Hyena Guild's reputation. Their average strength was around D rank, meaning they weren't weak, but they were nothing Suho couldn't handle. When Suho struck back, he used his full strength. The hunter flew through the air, crashing brutally into the ground. The others hesitated, stunned that someone they thought was an E rank could overpower them so easily. Suho didn't slow down. He dismantled the entire group, one after another, until all the hunters lay defeated around him. Beru watched proudly, amazed at how far his young monarch had come. Checking his status, Suho noticed he had already reached level 16. Once the last hunter fell, Suho quickly tied them up to prevent escape. He then turned to the kidnapped civilians and freed them from their restraints. They thanked him repeatedly, asking if he worked for the Hunter Association. Suho simply nodded and told them to leave quickly while he handled the rest. After they drove away, Suho paused. Why would the Hyena Guild kidnap people? What were they planning? A voice echoed in his mind. Fang Rocken. There's something nearby. This is why I insisted we come. Following Fang's guidance, Suho and his companions entered a dimly lit building. Inside, they discovered rows of cages and a faint, disturbing energy hanging in the air. Beru sensed it too. Then Suho saw something in a cage. A small creature he first assumed was a dog. Fang immediately corrected him. That is no dog. It is a young wolf, a descendant of the beast monarch. The Fang monarch. Suho was stunned. Fang explained further long ago. After losing his battle with the shadow monarch, the beast monarch hid the last of his bloodline in a shrine, hoping his lineage might one day survive. Fang never imagined that a surviving descendant would be found here, imprisoned and drained of power. Suho broke open the cage and gently lifted the weakened wolf cub. Its aura was fragile, nearly extinguished. Beru asked Suho what he would do next. Before Suho could answer, he felt a twisted aura. A dark figure stepped forward from the shadows, sneering at him. The creature introduced itself. I am Brokey. Suho asked Fang if he knew him. Fang confirmed. Brokey had once been the guard responsible for protecting the last Fang descendant. Brokey laughed. It's been a long time, Rocken. I see you're still alive. Fang's expression hardened. Where were you when this cub was chained and tortured? What were you doing, Brokey? Brokey didn't deny it. Instead, he smirked and lunged straight at Suho. With shocking speed, he struck Suho with his tail, hurling him through the wall and into a pile of containers outside. Beru flew to Suho's side immediately. Suho groaned, clutching his head. That's the hardest hit I've taken in a long time. And yes, Beru. I know I'm bleeding. Stop yelling. Beru quieted, but his gaze sharpened at Brokey. I sensed lingering monarch energy when we arrived. This creature's power is connected to it. Brokey proudly explained that he had become strong by feeding on the weak. By draining the young wolf's energy over and over. Strength is the law of the world, Brokey declared. The weak exist to nourish the strong. He vowed that once he was done with Suho, he would consume Fang Rocken as well. Suho raised his sword. Death only comes to those too weak to survive. Brokey scoffed, calling Suho a fool. He claimed that the next Fang monarch would only respect strength, nothing else. Suho lunged with a fierce strike, forcing Brokey back. At the same time, Beru swept in and carried the wolf cub to safety. When Suho's sword returned to his hand, he looked briefly at Fang. You may be angry with me, but right now, we're on the same side. I have business with this creature too. The tension between Fang and the Shadow Clan was obvious, but Suho wasn't concerned. His focus was clear. This fight might bring me closer to finding my father. Suddenly, the system chimed. A new mission appeared, urgent quest, hyena hunt objective. Stop the threat and protect the public. Seeing this, Suho finally understood the true meaning behind the hyena guild's name and the danger they represented. Brokey was not just another monster. He had built an entire organization, kidnapping people to expand his power, all while being connected to the same sinister energy linked to Itarim. The hunters who had once followed him struggled against their restraints, shouting for Brokey to release them, and insisting that Suho was not an enemy to face alone. Brokey responded without hesitation. He struck his own followers down mercilessly, silencing them instantly. He sneered, declaring that anyone who forgot their place became prey. Witnessing Brokey slaughter his own men ignited Suho's rage. Suho charged forward, weapon ready. When he questioned Brokey about killing people for amusement, Brokey coldly replied that the strong needed no reason. Power alone decided who lived and who died. Brokey attacked again, but Suho narrowly avoided the blow and steadied himself. Launching into the air, Suho activated his newly acquired Stormblade skill, surrounding his weapon with slicing winds. His attacks rained down, but Brokey barely reacted, mocking Suho for failing to live up to the Fang heirloom's name. Suddenly, a blade flew in from another angle. Suho revealed his control over the weapon, warning Brokey that the fight had only begun. Fang Rocken confronted Brokey, asking why he had betrayed his loyalty. Brokey laughed bitterly, claiming there had never been honor, only fear. He admitted that he respected strength alone and chose to seize his future by abandoning loyalty altogether. With explosive speed, Brokey struck Suho with a devastating punch, sending him crashing back. Pain tore through Suho's body, but memories of his father, never retreating, never surrendering, flooded his mind. That memory reignited his resolve. Suho summoned shadows around his fists, forming shadow armor, and launched a powerful counterattack fueled by sheer determination. From a distance, Beru watched in awe. Despite his age, Suho was wielding power far beyond expectations. Fang Rocken, battered and watching from the ground, realized that the survival of his lineage now rested on Suho's shoulders. The battle was far from over. At that moment, the weakened wolf cub began to stir. Despite its injuries, it struggled to stand. Fang Rocken understood what was happening. The last descendant of the Fang monarch was answering Suho's resolve. Inspired by Suho's determination, the cub rose to its feet. Fang Rocken resolved to give what remained of his power to the next generation. As the fight continued, Brokey overwhelmed Suho once more and slammed him into the ground. Suho saw his remaining hit points drop as Brokey approached, mocking his endurance and raising his arm for the final blow. Suddenly, sharp claws slashed across Brokey's arm. The wolf cub had intervened. Standing protectively in front of Suho, the cub glared at Brokey with fierce determination. A system notification appeared before Suho, stating that the Fang descendant had acknowledged him and offered to become his ally. Suho hesitated in disbelief. Was this cub truly the Fang monarch's descendant? Even Brokey recalled in shock, snarling as he sensed something change. Had the cub inherited the true power of Fang? At that moment, Suho finally understood what had happened. The wolf cub had inherited the essence of Rocken Fang, who had sacrificed himself to transfer his remaining power into the young descendant. From the beginning, Suho had intended to align with the Fang lineage, and after checking the system notification, he saw no reason to hesitate. Suho accepted the Fang descendant as his ally. Immediately, a new system window appeared, indicating that data synchronization had begun. A strange surge of energy flowed into Suho, and fragmented memories poured into his mind, as if he were directly experiencing the cub's past. He saw an ominous cave where Brokey told the Fang descendant that they had lost the war to the Shadow Monarch, and that survival now depended on becoming stronger. Shadowy figures gathered around the trembling cub, declaring that the world was ruled by the survival of the fittest. One Fang clan member placed a hand on the cub's head, transferring mysterious power and saying that this gift would determine whether the cub lived or died. The memories shifted again, revealing Brokey's true actions. His subordinates kidnapped people alive, feeding Brokey's twisted ambitions. As Brokey grew stronger, he descended deeper into darkness, while the wolf cub lived in constant fear. Through these memories, Suho realized that the same dark force connected to Itarim was involved. The Fang descendant did not only seek revenge. He wanted Brokey stopped completely. Suho understood that if Brokey's actions were tied to Itarim, this battle could not end halfway. However, he also knew he was not yet strong enough to face everything alone. At that moment, the system updated. A new quest appeared. Monarch's Descendants Quest. The objective was clear. Suho was to find the heirs of the monarchs and form alliances with them. 8 alliances were required, and the first had already been established through his bond with the Fang lineage. As Suho acknowledged the quest, a vivid blue aura surrounded his body, growing stronger with every passing second. Beru, watching closely, realized that Suho was undergoing a transformation unlike anything he had seen before. Brokey sensed it as well. Panicked by the sudden surge of power, Brokey launched himself at Suho, striking with enough force to crack the ground and send shockwaves through the battlefield. But just as the blow landed, another system notification appeared. Beast Transformation Level 1 activated. This bonding skill consumed 1 mana per second and infused Suho's body with the Fang descendant's essence. His physical power increased dramatically and his senses sharpened to an animal-like level. For a brief moment, Suho struggled to understand the change. His body felt lighter, yet far stronger. The world around him appeared sharper and clearer. Instinctively, he avoided Brokey's attacks with fluid, effortless movement. Then Suho countered. A powerful kick sent Brokey flying. Stunned, Brokey could not comprehend how the human he had dominated moments earlier now moved with such overwhelming speed and strength. Furious, he roared that this power was supposed to belong to him alone. He had sacrificed everything to obtain it. Beru watched closely, sensing the violent fluctuation in Brokey's manner. Brokey spat insults, declaring that only strength granted the right to rule, and that Suho would regret being born weak. But Suho's gaze remained calm and focused. His new power urged him forward. Suho activated another newly acquired skill, instinctively mastering close combat techniques as he fought. Beru's expression darkened as Brokey continued to boast about superiority between species. To Beru, nothing stood above the Shadow Monarch's lineage. Hearing this, doubt finally crept into Brokey's eyes. Before he could react, Suho dashed forward and delivered a precise, crushing kick that drove Brokey deep into the ground. Defeated and fading, Brokey clung to his obsession with power. As his vision dimmed, he saw Rakan, his former master. Regret filled him as he realized he had failed the one who once trusted him. The wolf cub stepped forward and released a mournful howl, bidding farewell to Brokey. As Suho looked down at Brokey's fallen body, the system confirmed his victory. Level up achieved. So glanced toward the small wolf cub, who stared silently at Brokey's lifeless body. The cub's eyes were filled with sorrow. Brokey had once been his guardian, and now he lay defeated. The atmosphere grew heavy as Suho and Beru stood quietly, allowing the wolf a moment of mourning. After a brief silence, Beru praised Suho for defeating Brokey, acknowledging both his strength and judgment. Suho, however, remained focused. He asked Beru if he could still sense any trace of Idem's power nearby. Suho explained that through his bond with Rockenfang's essence, he had seen disturbing memories. In them, hunters attacked Brokey and the wolf cub, placing a strange curse on Brokey's eye that twisted his mind and turned him against his own kin. Suho wondered aloud if these hunters could have been agents of Itarim and questioned their true objective. Beru frowned and explained that these beings were connected to the outer gods. They rarely acted directly, and instead sent apostles to manipulate events from afar. If their influence was already visible on Earth, it meant the planet had entered their plans. Seeking more answers, Suho listened as Beru proposed a dangerous solution. If Beru consumed Brokey's body, he could recover fragments of Brokey's memories and regain some of his lost strength. Suho was shocked, questioning when Beru gained such an ability. He then noticed the wolf cub watching them, uncertain and withdrawn. Sensing the cub's emotions, Suho knelt and asked if he wished to stay with him. After a brief hesitation, the wolf stepped forward and nuzzled Suho, silently choosing him. With their path decided, Suho opened his shadow dungeon and entrusted Beru with Brokey's remains, asking him to uncover information about Idem. As Beru devoured Brokey's body, Suho led the wolf into the shadow dungeon, explaining that it would be a safe haven. Inside, Suho hesitated. Knowing this domain belonged to the Shadow Monarch, and that sheltering a creature of another lineage could cause complications. Even Beru was surprised by Suho's decision. Suddenly, the system displayed a notification. The wolf requested a name. Suho paused. He had never named a companion before, but understanding the weight of that bond, he chose the name Grey, inspired by the cub's fur. Beru scoffed at the simplicity, but Grey reacted with clear joy. The system confirmed Grey as Suho's ally, increased their trust level, and designated a portion of the Shadow Dungeon as Grey's territory. Suho worried about Grey's survival, but Beru reassured him that the cub's bloodline would allow him to hunt the dungeon's remaining monsters. Almost immediately, Grey proved this true by effortlessly killing a goblin. Suho and Beru watched quietly as Grey hunted, impressed by how naturally he adapted to his power. A system message appeared, granting Suho the title Wolf Slayer for defeating Brokey and awarding bonus ability points. Suho found the title strange, having thought Brokey was a hyena. Beru advised him not to dwell on it and focus on growth. Their discussion turned serious when Suho questioned the monarch's descendants' quest. Beru warned that the system was designed to strengthen Suho, but it might also have its own hidden intentions. He revealed that the original system was meant to break Sung Jin, Wu, and turn him into a puppet shadow monarch. Instead, Sung Jin, Wu conquered the system and claimed his power on his own terms. Beru explained that Suho's system was different, created specifically for him, but still urged caution. Only one true shadow monarch could exist, and the system's ultimate goal remained unclear. Checking his status window, Su noticed that despite his rapid growth, his class was still listed as none. He acknowledged that he would not have defeated Brokey without Grey's help. Resolving to follow the system, only as long as it aligned with his own goals, Suho turned to Beru for the results of consuming Brokey. Beru revealed critical information. While no direct apostle manipulation was found, a human guild called Grim Reaper had been working alongside the Hyena Guild, supplying captives to Brokey. Tracking them could expose the deeper conspiracy. Elsewhere, inside a luxurious office, a well-dressed man calmly spoke on the phone with Tiu, dismissing accusations tied to the Hyena Guild. When warned that the Hunter Association was closing in, the man snapped, slamming his desk in rage. He was revealed to be the vice CEO of the Grim Reaper Guild. Smiling coldly, He examined a rare awakening stimulant known as Stardust, already planning how to use it to expand his influence. Inside the Shadow Dungeon, Grey rampaged through goblins with astonishing speed. Each strike was stronger and more precise than the last, impressing even Beru, who encouraged him to keep pushing forward and become a weapon Suho could rely on in the future. From the shadows, Suho watched in disbelief at how rapidly Grey was growing. What stood out even more was the bond forming between Beru and Grey, a quiet respect built through shared battles and purpose. Suddenly, Suho noticed something strange. A system notification appeared, informing him that he had gained experience from Grey's kills. Startled, Suho questioned how this was possible and called Beru over. After examining the notification, Beru explained that it worked similarly to how Jinwoo once gained experience through his shadow army. Suho was effectively sharing in Grey's battle rewards. The realization thrilled Suho. Even if he was only receiving a portion of the experience, it was still a massive advantage. Excited, he declared that Grey would take charge of clearing enemies moving forward. Grey, exhausted and startled by the sudden promotion, barely had time to react before another system message appeared. Dungeon cleared. New quest unlocked. Daily quest activated. The daily quest required Suho to defeat goblins and clear the dungeon. While simple on the surface, Suho realized the deeper implication. Daily quests meant daily rewards and daily growth. Beru added that the system likely wanted Suho to fully claim the dungeon as part of his domain. However, Suho faced a logistical issue. Gathering 100 goblins in such a vast dungeon would be difficult. Then he remembered an item he had acquired earlier, a horn flute capable of summoning goblins. Without hesitation, Suho blew the flute. Goblins began rushing in from all directions. With renewed energy, Suho charged into battle. Though goblins no longer posed much of a challenge, he decided to escalate things. He blew the horn again, summoning an even larger horde, then used shadow extraction to raise fallen goblins into a shadow army. What started as a simple quest turned into a full-scale dungeon war. For 3 intense hours, Suho, Grey, and the shadow soldiers slaughtered goblins relentlessly. By the end, the dungeon was filled with corpses, and Grey collapsed from exhaustion. As Suho checked the system, he noticed something unexpected. The goblin counter had gone far beyond the required number. When the quest finally ended, Suho was rewarded far more than expected. The system granted him a full status recovery, 3 stat points, and 2 rare items, a blessed random box and a cursed random box. Choosing practicality, Suho opened the cursed box. Inside were Vulcan's gauntlets, powerful equipment that boosted attack power by 40% and increased physical damage by an additional 30%. Suho equipped them immediately, thrilled by the upgrade. However, his excitement faded when another system message appeared. Grey's status had shifted from admiration to fear. Beru explained that Grey was not a shadow soldier, but a living being with limits. Realizing he had pushed Grey too hard, Suho decided to stop and let him rest. Leaving the shadow dungeon, Suho turned his thoughts back to the Grim Reaper Guild. He needed answers, but before he could act, his phone rang. Senior Lim urgently requested his help. Suho met him at the Soul Station field, where Lim explained that his hauling team was missing, likely still recovering from a party. Suho agreed to step in and don protective gear to help handle monster corpses. When the hunting squad arrived, their leader immediately complained about the lack of manpower and warned that any problems would be reported to the Hunter Association. Suho carefully observed the situation and noticed that the leader, despite being a healer, was the highest-ranked hunter present. Everything began to connect. Lin's urgent call, the Grim Reaper Guild's involvement, and the system pushing him forward. This was no coincidence. Deep within the dungeon, shadowy figures moved through thick mist, conducting what appeared to be a dangerous experiment. Suho sensed that this mission was far from ordinary. The real battle was only just beginning. As the hunters prepared to advance, the dungeon's atmosphere shifted. Flames crackled as the mages cast fireballs, illuminating the pitch-black halls. With visibility secured, the strike team leader quickly ordered everyone into formation. From the shadows, packs of lizard-type monsters emerged, their eyes glowing with predatory hunger. The leader instructed Suho and Senior Lim to stay close to the strike team and collect bodies the moment enemies fell. Senior Lim frowned, clearly uncomfortable with being so close to the fighting, but the leader ignored his concerns. Suho, however, remained calm. Compared to everything he had faced recently, These lizard monsters felt underwhelming, especially after acquiring Vulcan's horn. Still, he saw value in observing coordinated combat, something he rarely experienced due to his solo fighting style. As the battle began, Suho crouched low and pressed his hand to the ground. In a quiet voice, he whispered, "Rise." 7 shadow goblins emerged instantly, moving with precision to collect fallen monsters. Watching them work, Suho felt a surge of pride. Summoning shadow soldiers was proof of his rapid growth. The hunters continued fighting, unaware of what was happening behind them. When the battle ended, the strike team leader turned around and froze. All the collection work was already finished. Suho's shadow goblins had completed everything in record time. Shocked, the leader demanded to know what he was seeing. Suho calmly explained that they were his summons. To Senior Lim's surprise, the leader grabbed Suho's hand in excitement and offered him a position as an exclusive collector, promising high pay. Suho declined politely, stating that collection work was not his long-term goal, though he appreciated the offer. The leader insisted, asking Suho to name his price. Before Suho could respond, a team member rushed over, pale and shaken. He reported finding something disturbing. The group followed him to a clearing where a human corpse lay on the ground, engulfed in eerie blue flames. Despite the flames, it was clear the body had been dead for some time. Suho immediately recognized it. The corpse belonged to a Mistborn. Senior Lim warned the leader that Mistborn were extremely dangerous, reminding him of the chaos they had caused during the university attack. More corpses soon appeared nearby, all burning with the same blue flames. One hunter suggested retreating and reporting to the Hunter Association, but the leader dismissed the idea. Believing his C-rank team could handle it, he ordered everyone to press forward. Suho felt deeply uneasy. He warned the leader that Mistborn were far more lethal than he realized, but the leader cut him off and insisted on moving deeper into the dungeon. As they advanced, the air grew colder and heavier. The flickering flames cast long, unsettling shadows along the tunnel walls, as if the dungeon itself was warning them to turn back. Elsewhere, deeper in the dungeon, screams echoed through the stone corridors. 3 cloaked figures watched from the shadows. One, wearing a skull mask, complained that their blue flames were not strong enough and that resources were running low. With the Hyena Guild wiped out, their supply for Stardust production had collapsed. When the rat-like figure among them sensed humans nearby, the skull-masked figure smiled. The timing was perfect. Back with the strike team, another wave of lizard monsters was defeated. The leader, pleased with their progress, healed the injured and revealed a shimmering orb. It was Stardust, a rare stimulant capable of temporarily boosting a hunter's abilities. As the hunters gathered around in excitement, an ominous shadow appeared behind him. The rat-like monster struck instantly. The leader was crushed to the ground, and the Stardust shattered. Speaking calmly, the creature revealed that he only needed a few strong hunters. Producing his own Stardust, he began the slaughter. One by one, hunters were cut down. The mage was killed, plunging the tunnel into complete darkness. In the chaos, the creature moved like a spectre, slaughtering the disoriented hunters with ease. When it was over, he dragged the barely alive leader away, muttering that the firewood had been secured, and left the rest to die. As silence filled the tunnel, Suho's system activated. A new rescue quest appeared before his eyes. Staring at the devastation, Suho felt a heavy weight settle in his chest. What in the world happened here? He muttered, realizing the true danger had finally revealed itself. Noticing Suho's troubled expression, Beru materialized beside him and asked what was wrong. Suho explained that the system had issued an urgent quest. A powerful enemy had taken the strike team hostage, and the rewards depended on how many lives he could save. The danger was real and immediate. Without hesitation, Suho sprang into action. He turned sharply to Senior Lim and warned him that the strike team was in serious danger and needed to evacuate immediately. Confused by Suho's sudden urgency, Lim demanded an explanation, but Suho simply told him to trust his instincts. Acting quickly, Suho summoned 2 shadow goblins and ordered them to escort Lim to safety. When Lim asked what Suho planned to do, Suho answered without hesitation. He was going after them. Realizing that staying behind would only slow him down, Lim agreed to retreat and promised to contact the Hunter Association for reinforcements as soon as he was safe. Once Lim left, Su discarded his protective gear and summoned Grey from the shadows, a surprising feat given Gray's usual confinement to the shadow dungeon. Without questioning it, Suho activated his bonding skill and equipped the Vulcan gauntlets, his presence shifting into something far more dangerous. Turning to Beru, he simply said it was time to move. They raced through the dungeon until they reached a door glowing with an eerie green light. The stench of blood filled the air. Inside, the floor was littered with bodies, discarded carelessly. Nearby, a rat-like demon boasted about delivering more firewood, while his companions discussed the progress of their operation. It quickly became clear that the towering brute was their leader, the rat-like creature the youngest, and the sharp-eyed middle demon their strategist. The strategist explained that stardust was created using a forbidden technique that combined poison, awakening stimulants, and the blue flames of the Mistborn. While it granted temporary power, it drained the user's life force, leaving them hollow. This method had been taught to them by an apostle, along with instructions for corrupting souls and creating monsters. Suddenly, one of the demons sensed something approaching at high speed. Before they could react, the door exploded inward. The rat demon sliced it apart instantly, locking eyes with the intruder. Suho and Beru had arrived. Suho froze briefly at the horrifying sight before him. Bound Mistborn were being burned alive in a ritualistic process. Before he could react, the system notified him that no survivors had died yet. At the same moment, a blade sliced toward his neck. Suho narrowly dodged, shocking the rat demon. Suho demanded to know if the rat demon was responsible for the dead hunters outside. Without waiting for an answer, he struck first, landing a powerful punch that sent the rat demon flying. Realizing the threat Suho posed, the demon leader and strategist consumed their own stardust to enhance their power. The fight escalated instantly. The leader charged Suho head on while the rat demon maneuvered to set up an ambush. Suho narrowly avoided the leader's devastating punch, only to land in the strategist's trap. A surge of electricity tore through his body, stunning him long enough for the rat demon to attack again. Grinding through the pain, Suho summoned his shadow goblins. Their sudden appearance disrupted the demon's coordination, allowing Suho to throw the strategist across the room. Even so, the demons quickly adapted. Recognizing Suho's power, they coordinated their attacks and wiped out his goblin forces. Suho realized that resurrecting them would be useless. Individually, the demons were weaker than Brokey, but together they were far more dangerous. The story briefly flashes back to an earlier moment when Beru questioned why Suho had not revived Brokey as a shadow soldier. Suho had explained that Brokey had been a puppet under Idram's influence, and reviving him without preparation felt wrong. He had waited for Gray's approval. When Gray finally gave his blessing, Suho knew the time would come. Back in the present, Suho gripped his shadow dungeon key and activated shadow extraction. Dark energy surged violently through the room as he called out Brokey's name. With a thunderous roar, Brokey's shadow arose, radiating overwhelming pressure even at base level. The three demons froze in horror, recognizing the beast they once knew. Beru remarked calmly that the numbers were finally even. Suho gave the signal. Together, Suho and Brokey charged forward, clashing violently with the demon trio. Their battle shook the dungeon itself. Suddenly, the dungeon's blue glow shifted into a sinister red, signaling that something far greater was approaching. As chaos engulfed the battlefield, a mysterious woman observed the fight from the shadows, her identity and allegiance unclear. Watching the brutal clash unfold, she muttered in confusion, wondering how she had ended up here at all. A faint smile crossed the mysterious woman's face as a strange thought occurred to her. She wondered whether she had been summoned as a sacrifice or merely target practice. Her curiosity sharpened when she realized who was fighting. A shadow soldier was locked in a brutal battle with a demon. The situation had clearly taken an unexpected turn. Meanwhile, Suho clashed head-on with the youngest demon. Their blows echoed through the darkness as Suho, his Vulcan gauntlets gleaming, fought like a seasoned brawler. He deflected the demon's sword strikes with ease and seized a brief opening, delivering a crushing kick straight into the demon's stomach. The demon staggered back, gasping in pain, his pride shattered. Suho pressed forward, determined to finish the fight quickly and move on to the others. Just as he prepared the final strike, a crackling bolt of electricity shot toward him, forcing him to retreat. The interference came from the middle demon, who was clearly coordinating the fight. Suho realized the trio worked together efficiently. and that was becoming a serious problem. His mana continued to drain as he maintained his bond with Grey, and even Brokey was struggling against the demon leader. As Suho searched for a way to split them up, the battle was suddenly interrupted. Essel burst onto the battlefield, landing between Suho and the demons. Everyone froze. She demanded to know where Sung Jinwoo was, threatening consequences if she did not get an answer. Suho was stunned. She was looking for his father. Before Suho could react, Beru cautiously approached her and asked why she was here. Essel immediately brightened, hugged Beru tightly, and bombarded him with questions, completely ignoring the battle around them. The demons, however, quickly judged her as a potential sacrifice for more stardust, though the strategist hesitated, warning that her involvement could complicate things. Beru cut in and bluntly suggested that Essel help fight since she was already there. He confidently explained to Suho that Essel was a noble demon, the eldest daughter of a fallen household, spared by the Shadow Monarch. Her strength should have rivaled an S-rank hunter. Suho's excitement didn't last long. The youngest demon struck Essel down with a single blow, sending her crashing across the ground. Her condition shocked both Suho and Beru. Essel tearfully explained that her household had fallen during a rebellion, and her blood and power had been drained. She begged Beru for help, but he coldly refused. The demon leader overheard everything and decided that consuming Essel's blood would make him even stronger. Suho realized they were back to square one. He needed separation, and fast. That was when Beru stepped in with a plan. He activated harsh orders, flooding Essel with power. Her stats skyrocketed, but at the cost of her sanity. Driven berserk, Essel charged the demons with uncontrollable fury. Seizing the opportunity, Suho ordered Brokey to engage the boss demon while Essel attacked the middle demon. Chaos erupted. When the rat demon tried to interfere, Suho grabbed him in a headlock and hurled him directly into the Mistborn flames. Without hesitation, Suho seized the fallen sword and cleaved the demon in two. A system notification appeared. Suho leveled up, and his Vulcan gauntlets absorbed the demon's soul, increasing his physical damage. Essel continued her frenzied assault until harsh orders wore off, and she collapsed. Before the middle demon could react, Suho could distance and snapped his neck in a single motion. Another level up followed, and another soul was absorbed. Only the boss demon remained. Enraged, he struck Keatim, crashing into the dungeon wall. Realizing he was cornered, the boss demon attempted to reach Essel, desperate for her blood. Suho intercepted him, shattering the demon's arm with a brutal kick. Calm and merciless, Suho stepped aside and ordered Brokey to finish it. Brokey lunged, tearing into the demon until his screams faded into silence. System notifications flooded Suho's vision. He had surpassed level 20, unlocking access to the system store. As he browsed, Essel regained consciousness and angrily confronted Beru for nearly killing her. When she noticed Suho, confusion turned to shock. At last, realization dawned. Her eyes filled with tears as she stared at him. "He's the young monarch," Essel whispered, trembling as she finally understood who Suho truly was. Suho stiffened when Essel recognized him, her words catching him completely off guard. Questions raced through his mind. How did she know who he was? And why did she call him the young monarch? Before he could respond, laughter echoed nearby as Brokey and Grey, seemingly unconcerned by the tension, shared a light-hearted moment. Essel's voice trembled as tears spilled down her face. She admitted she hadn't recognized Suho at first. He had changed so much. To her, he now looked just like his father, the Shadow Monarch. Overwhelmed by emotion, her strength finally gave out, and she collapsed into unconsciousness. Suho reacted instantly, turning to Beru in alarm and asking him to check her condition. Beru examined her briefly and waved it off with his usual calm confidence. She wasn't dead, only completely drained. His reassurance eased the tension in the room. With Essel stable, Suho shifted his focus to the rescued hunters. He ordered Beru to heal them just enough to ensure they would survive. As Beru carried out the task, the system chimed, confirming Suho's quest completion. All 7 survivors were safe. A new reward followed, granting Suho 3 ability points and an unexpected bonus of 700 gold. Surprised, Suho opened the system's store and discovered a wide selection of items available for purchase. The experience reminded him of receiving pocket money as a child. Only now it felt like rewards being sent through the system in place of his father. Seeing Essel lying unconscious, Suho purchased a basic healing potion, even though it was meant for personal use. He gave it to her anyway, and to his relief, her breathing steadied and colour returned to her face. Beru remarked dryly on Suho's generosity, clearly amused that he had spent gold on a demon. Suho decided they would not leave Essel behind. He instructed Brokey to gather the demon corpses to erase all traces of the battle. Grey carefully carried Essel as they moved through the portal toward the shadow dungeon. Before leaving completely, Suho noticed the Mistborn creatures still writhing in agony. Unable to abandon them to suffer, he quietly ended their lives one by one, offering the only mercy he could. Outside at Seoul Station, the Hunter Association had already arrived. A senior hunter questioned the situation inside the dungeon. Reports described destroyed rooms, unusual sword marks, and injuries that didn't match any known monster. The senior hunter noticed Senior Lim acting uneasy and questioned him directly about Suho's whereabouts. Lim hesitated but claimed Suho had fled after the situation became too dangerous. The senior hunter accepted the explanation and ordered a full investigation. Once alone, Lim looked to the sky with gratitude, knowing Suho had saved everyone and chosen to stay silent. Back in the shadow dungeon, Essel regained consciousness and learned what had happened. She was stunned to hear that Sung Jinwoo was still fighting and that Suho had awakened. Beru admitted he had been tasked with breaking Suho's seal, but Suho had already surpassed expectations on his own. Suho then asked Essel if they had met before. Her face lit up as she reminded him of the tutorial his father had created. After some thought, Suho remembered she was the demon who surrendered immediately upon meeting him. Beru mocked her mercilessly, leaving Essel embarrassed. The mood shifted when Beru asked what had happened in the demon realm. Essel explained that after Sung Jinwoo conquered the demon tower, her household was left in charge. For a time, peace followed. Then Stardust appeared, a stimulant that granted immense power to low-ranking demons. With the Shadow Monarch absent, rebellion spread rapidly. Essel described how the rebellion escalated into war, her household desperately to protect the demon castle, but exhaustion and betrayal overwhelmed them. One by one, her family was sacrificed. She survived only by chance, losing most of her blood and all of her power. The shame of failing the Shadow Monarch haunted her deeply. The room fell silent until Suho stepped forward. He told Essel she had done everything she could. She had fought to the very end for her people and for his father. If Sung Jinwoo were present, Suho said, he would have praised her the same way. Essel broke down again, this time with relief and gratitude. Hope returned to her eyes as Suho promised to help restore the later household and return it to its rightful place. At that moment, the system chimed again. A notification appeared, stating that the last surviving pure-blooded demon noble, a descendant of the monarch of White Flames, had expressed her gratitude. Then a question appeared that made Suho pause. Would he like to recruit her as his companion? Suho's expression shifted from surprise to disbelief as he processed the system message. Essel was the descendant of the White Flame monarch. The revelation felt unreal. Nearby, Beru and Essel sat resting after everything they had endured, but when Suho's shock became obvious, Essel noticed immediately and asked if he was all right. And Suho pieced everything together. He realized that because Essel was the last surviving demon noble, forming a companion bond was possible. A mischievous grin crossed his face as he accepted the bond. The moment he did, multiple system notifications appeared, announcing that he had recruited the descendant of the White Flame monarch and unlocked a new bond skill called Demon Strike. Reading the skill description, Suho learned it allowed him to channel Essel's energy into a powerful destructive attack. Before he could react further, Essel gasped in shock as her own system screen appeared. Alarmed and confused, she demanded to know what was happening. Suho reassured her that it was simply his companion system, and that she was now officially part of his team. Beru confirmed that this also proved Essel truly was a White Flame descendant. Essel, still stunned, struggled to accept the truth. Suho decided to test their new bond skill and encouraged Essel to give it everything she had. Though uncertain, she agreed. When the skill activated, Essel's aura changed completely. Her purple hair turned white, and her form became ghostly and ethereal. Her mana condensed into a swirling mass and flowed directly into Suho's fist. The power surprised him, but the transfer drained Essel completely, causing her to collapse. Suho joked lightly about her new appearance before realizing how exhausted she truly was. Essel apologized weakly, admitting she had nothing left. Suho told her to rest, but inside he was thrilled. If the skill drained her this much, its full power had to be immense. He tested the charged punch on a nearby wall, expecting devastation, but the result was underwhelming. Only a small dent appeared. Suho and Beru stared in silence, disappointed. Even Gray mocked the weak result, deflating Essel further. Rechecking the skill description, Suho noticed the charge rate was at 0%, explaining the failure. Unfortunately, the system offered no explanation on how to charge it. At that moment, Beru asked if he could eat the demon corpses lying around. Suho refused at first, planning to turn them into shadow soldiers, but Beru warned that corpses weakened over time. When Suho attempted shadow extraction, the system informed him that the demon's mana was corrupted and could not be converted. Beru explained that even the Shadow Monarch could not extract shadows from corrupted beings and had instead used contracts, like with the demon households. Accepting defeat, Suho allowed Beru to consume the corpses. Turning back to Essel, Suho gave her a recovery potion and reassured her that she was now his companion. The system chimed again, designating a section of the Shadow Dungeon as Essel's territory and confirming her status as its ruler. The moment of calm was shattered when Beru suddenly reacted with alarm. After finishing the demons, he revealed their memories contained devastating information. Stardust was not limited to hell. It was being produced on Earth. Worse, the Mistborn were not natural creatures, but beings from outer space. Beru explained that the Hyena Guild supplied humans, who were transformed into Mistborn, then harvested to create stardust. These operations took place in hidden stardust factories on Earth, assisted by the Reaper Guild. The Itarim were behind everything. Then came the most shocking revelation. A human was orchestrating the entire operation. Not just any human, but an apostle of the Itarim already living on Earth. Beru revealed the name of the accomplice aiding the apostle Lee Min-sung, Vice Guild Master of the Reaper Guild. The scene shifted to the Hunter Association, where reporters surrounded Lee Min-sung. Under intense questioning, he feigned remorse, blamed poor judgment, and staged a convincing breakdown. The crowd softened, believing his act. Once alone, Lee dropped the farce aid, confident he had deceived everyone. From the shadows, Suho observed him. Beru sensed no external control, unlike Brokey, but warned Suho not to act rashly. Even so, Lee briefly paused, his crimson eyes scanning the area as if sensing something watching him. After he left, Beru revealed the truth. Lee Min-sung possessed extraordinary mana, rivaling or surpassing A-rank hunters. He was far more dangerous than he appeared. Suho clenched his fists, realizing the scale of the enemy before him. The battle was no longer just against monsters or guilds. It was against a hidden architect pulling the strings behind a catastrophe threatening both Earth and Hell. And this time, the enemy was human, in a lavish lounge filled with luxury and excess. Lee Min-sung lounges comfortably, scrolling through his phone as news articles praise him. Headlines announce that the Hunter Association has cleared him of all allegations and that the Soul Station dungeon will reopen thanks to the Reaper Guild. Smugly satisfied, Lee mocks the public for believing his performance. His moment of indulgence is interrupted when a woman enters the lounge, her presence sharp and commanding. With a sarcastic smile, she questions why the so-called hero of the hunter industry is hiding instead of enjoying public admiration. Lee brushes her off, but she firmly reminds him that he should have contacted her upon arriving. Despite maintaining a polite smile, her authority is unmistakable. Internally, she views Lee as an arrogant man born into privilege, bitter over the fact that he awakened as only an A-rank hunter. His pride suffered greatly when his former driver, Lim Tiu, became an S-rank hunter and founded the Reaper Guild. Still, she sets those thoughts aside and gets straight to the point. She wants to buy stardust in bulk. Lee's demeanor immediately hardens. He snaps that he has lost both a distributor and a factory, making supply impossible. The woman calmly presses him, confident that someone of his position can find a solution. After a brief pause, Lee agrees to pressure his business partner, though frustration simmers beneath his calm exterior. The scene shifts to a high-rise office overlooking the city. A man with glowing yellow eyes stands silently by the window. This figure is revealed to be the apostle of the Itarim, Lee Min-sung's true partner, and the hidden force behind the Stardust operation. Back in the Shadow Dungeon, Suho, Gray, and Essel are locked in intense combat against waves of goblins. Gray moves with deadly efficiency, cutting enemies down with precision. Essel holds her ground with disciplined spear strikes, showing clear improvement despite her weakened state. Suho dominates the battlefield with his Vulcan gauntlets, crushing groups of goblins with overwhelming force. Even after clearing the wave, Suho remains dissatisfied. He orders Beru to summon another horde. Beru observes Suho's growing impatience, recalling their earlier discussion about their true objective. Their mission is to extract information about the apostle from Lee Min-sung. Knowing full well that confrontation is inevitable, Beru explains the harsh reality of their current strength. Without bonding skills, Suho is only C rank. Gray and Essel are even weaker. Even with bonding, So can only reach B rank, while Lee Min-sung is at least A rank. As things stand, they cannot win a direct fight. Returning to the present, Suho continues grinding goblins, but notices that his kill count is no longer increasing like before. The hidden reward was only a one-time benefit. He opens a reward box and obtains the Ashen Ring, a D rank item that increases his sense stat by 5. The boost is noticeable, but ultimately disappointing. Frustration builds as Suho realizes that endless goblin farming is no longer effective. His level is stagnating, and even his equipment upgrades are minimal. He concludes that the only way forward is real dungeon combat against stronger enemies. Later, at his apartment, Suho scrolls through job listings, irritated by the lack of strike squad opportunities for an unranked hunter. Beru suggests re-evaluation, but Suho immediately rejects the idea. Public attention would make him vulnerable, especially with the Apostle active on Earth. Beru reassures him. If the Apostle had arrived at full power, they would have already acted. Dimensional travel severely weakens powerful beings, which is why the Itarim relies on proxies like Brokey and corrupted demons. This delay gives Suho time to prepare. As Suho processes this, a sudden realization hits him. He pulls out his phone, searching rapidly, before breaking into a confident grin. He has found a way to enter a dungeon legally, without breaking Hunter Association rules. Suho sitting in an office across from a well-dressed man who greets him warmly as his nephew. This man is Eugene Ho, president of Gene Software. Suho confidently presents a business proposal, implying that he has found exactly the right person to help him enter a dungeon on his own terms. Inside Agensoft headquarters, a massive poster dominates the lobby. It promotes Beautiful World, the virtual reality game that has held the #1 global ranking for 4 consecutive years. With millions of daily users and a presence across multiple countries, the game has become more than entertainment. It is a cultural phenomenon. At the center of this success is Jinho, the CEO of Agensoft. Earlier that day, Suho arrives at the building for the first time. Surrounded by sleek glass walls, advanced security systems, and high-tech interiors, he immediately feels out of place. An energetic employee greets him and eagerly guides him through the building. As they walk, Suho notices something strange. Many of the staff members give off the unmistakable presence of awakened hunters. When Suho questions this, the employee casually explains that not all awakened choose to fight monsters in dungeons. Some prefer stable office jobs, where they can use their abilities without risking their lives. The guide hints that Agensoft employs awakened individuals for a top-secret project, though he avoids giving details. Suho is eventually led into the CEO's office, where Jinho welcomes him warmly. The mood is relaxed at first. Jinho jokes about how Suho's sudden awakening caused panic within the family, especially his aunt, who has been worrying non-stop. Suho awkwardly apologizes, clearly uncomfortable with the attention. Once the small talk ends, Suho gets straight to the point. He proposes a deal. He wants access to dungeon gates managed by Agensoft. In return, he will hand over all magic crystals he obtains from clearing those dungeons. The offer immediately catches Jinho's attention. However, Jinho's expression quickly turns serious. He reminds Suho that, according to official records, Suho is only an E-rank hunter. Entering C-rank dungeons is extremely dangerous and could easily get him killed. Jinho asks directly whether Suho is doing this because of his missing parents. After a brief pause, Suho finally reveals the truth. He explains that he's not like ordinary awakened hunters. He can grow stronger. He can level up. At first, Jinho laughs, thinking Suho is joking. He compares it to a game mechanic, even mentioning that Agensoft is developing a similar system for Beautiful World. But Suho's expression remains serious. He explains that this is not fiction. Enemies from another universe have already begun invading Earth. And if he does not become stronger fast enough, no one will be able to stop what is coming. Before Jinho can respond, Beru suddenly materializes. Jinho is visibly shaken. Beru calmly explains that Jinho once fought alongside Sung Jinwoo, the Shadow Monarch. He reveals that Beautiful World is not just a game, but a reflection of Jinho's sealed memories. Using a key left behind by Sung Jinwoo, Beru restores those memories. Jinho is overwhelmed as visions flood his mind. Battles, sacrifices, and his bond with the Shadow Monarch return all at once. When the process ends, Jinko finally understands everything. He looks at Suho differently now, not just as his nephew, but as Sung Jinwoo's successor. Without hesitation, Jinho agrees to support Suho fully. He promises Ajinsof's resources, dungeon access, and protection. From this moment on, Suho will not be fighting alone. Soon after, Suho prepares to enter a dungeon. To hide his identity, he wears a shadow mask. While hired participants remain outside to satisfy the dungeon's entry conditions, Suho steps through the gate alone. Inside the dungeon, Suho summons Essel and Grey. A massive wave of monsters fills the space, their presence overwhelming. Suho tightens his Vulcan gauntlets, his resolve hardening as he remembers the burden his father carried alone for so long. This time, things are different. Suho gives a single command. It is time to level up. As a black car glides quietly down an empty road, the sky is painted in muted twilight colors when the vehicle finally stops in front of a large, ominous building. The structure radiates an unsettling presence, its long shadows stretching across the ground. Lee Min-sung, the Vice Guild Master of the Grim Reaper Guild, steps out of the car. His face is concealed behind a clean, minimalist mask, clearly meant to hide his identity. Without looking back, he calmly instructs his driver to stay close, assuring him that he will not be long. As Lee approaches the building, his thoughts turn dark. It has been 3 months since his last meeting with the Apostle of Itarim, and he has hated every second since then. Pushing open the doors, he enters a dimly lit lobby, where a lone guard is tending to a potted plant. Lee attempts to pass quietly, but the guard suddenly recognizes him from the news. The man excitedly calls out his name, identifying him as the Vice CEO of the Grim Reaper Guild. Irritation flashes beneath Lee's mask. His attempt at anonymity has failed. Adapting instantly, Lee removes the mask and puts on a flawless, practiced smile. He compliments the guard's sharp eyesight, feeding the man's pride. The guard beams with admiration, calling Lee a hero of the hunters as he lets him pass. Lee walks on, his outward composure masking his growing contempt. As he moves deeper into the building, Lee's mind drifts into the past. He remembers his life before the cataclysm. Born as the son of the Vice CEO of Eugene Construction, he had everything. Wealth, influence, fame, and the admiration of millions. He had been called the Prince of Asia, a man destined for greatness. Then the world changed. Lee recalls a moment that shattered his pride forever. His driver Lim Tae-lu had awakened as an S-rank hunter. The man who once opened car doors for him had suddenly risen above everyone else. While Lim casually spoke about starting his own guild, Lee stood frozen, realizing that his wealth and status meant nothing in the new world. From that day on, Lee's worldview warped. The hierarchy he once ruled had collapsed. Power now belonged to those with strength, not influence. Back in the present, Lee leans against the elevator wall as it ascends. His jaw tightens as he makes a silent vow to himself. He will restore the world to the way it was, even if it means bargaining with monsters. The elevator doors open to a dark room filled with men wearing grotesque smiles. Their expressions fill Lee with disgust. He orders them to wipe those grins off their faces before demanding to know where their master is. The room falls silent. Then a chilling voice speaks his name. Lee turns slowly and freezes. Standing in the shadows is a childlike figure with glowing yellow eyes and hair. The oppressive manner rolling off him is unmistakable. Lee recognizes him instantly. The Apostle of Itarim. The Apostle confirms his identity in a calm, detached voice. Lee masks his unease and casually remarks on how much stronger the Apostle has become since their last meeting. The Apostle corrects him coldly. He is not growing stronger. He is recovering. He explains that beings like him must fragment themselves when crossing dimensions. The first fragment is always weak. Now, he has fused with a second fragment, restoring more of his power. Lee sits down, pretending indifference. But the Apostle makes it clear that he is no longer the same being Lee once dealt with. His memories remain, but his personality has changed. There will be no familiarity between them. Lee doesn't care. He reminds the Apostle of their deal. Wealth, fame, and the removal of Lim Tae-lu. As long as that promise stands, nothing else matters. The Apostle finally looks directly at Lee and asks why he has come. Lee explains the situation. The Hyena Guild, their supplier of human captives, has been wiped out. The Soul Factory has also been destroyed. Stardust production has stalled. He demands reinforcements. The Apostle's tone turns icy. He accuses Lee of incompetence and reminds him that the system was Lee's responsibility. Lee snaps back, arguing that progress requires risk. The insult that follows pushes Lee too far. Calling Lee a pawn was a mistake. In a sudden movement, Lee pulls a hidden blade and presses it against the Apostle's throat, declaring that he is an A-rank hunter, not a mindless servant. He threatens to kill the Apostle before he fully recovers. The Apostle does not react. Instead, an overwhelming pressure floods the building. Lee feels it instantly. Down in the lobby, the guards' eyes glow yellow. One by one, every person in the building falls under the Apostle's control. Lee realizes the horrifying truth. The Apostle has dominated every mind in the building. Surrounded by brainwashed humans armed with weapons, Lee understands he cannot fight his way out. He drops his knife and pretends to joke, forcing laughter as he claims it was all a test. The Apostle spares him, stating that Lee still has some use left. A subordinate arrives with a suitcase full of high-grade stardust, refined 100 times stronger than before. The Apostle claims it could elevate even an A-rank hunter. Lee refuses to test it, hiding his fear, and leaves. As he walks away, the Apostle gazes out the window and senses something approaching. Another fragment is coming. The scene then cuts to a dungeon where Suho and his companions are locked in battle with a massive serpent. The monster overwhelms Essel and Grey, forcing Suho to act. Without hesitation, Suho leaps onto the serpent, wraps his arms around its neck, and squeezes with everything he has. Despite the creature's violent resistance, Suho holds on until the serpent collapses dead. As the dust settles, the Apostle's ominous voice echoes elsewhere. Once he merges with the next fragment, the real invasion will begin. Outside a glowing dungeon gate, a small group of hired civilians waits nervously. One young woman voices her doubts, questioning whether the job is too easy. Each of them is being paid 5 million won just to sit quietly and pretend they saw and heard nothing while a single hunter clears the gate alone. The money feels excessive, and she cannot understand why Suho would spend so much for such a simple task. A middle-aged man with a crippled leg responds calmly. This is not their first time being hired. So have done this before, and he always pays without fail. For hunters, clearing gates is routine work. Still, even he senses something is off. There is no excavation crew, no collection team, and no official support. Suho entered the gate completely alone. That makes no sense. Remembering Suho's rapid rise from low-rank gates to C-rank dungeons, the man wonders what Suho is really aiming for this time. Inside the dungeon, the reason becomes clear. Suho's shadow goblins work like machines, mining glowing crystals embedded in the cavern walls. Their movements are precise and relentless. Under Beru's strict supervision, they chip away at the crystal veins and transport the materials efficiently. Beru barks orders without mercy, pushing them to work faster, turning the dungeon into a perfectly organized operation. Nearby, Essel and Grey dismantle monster corpses for usable materials. Grey focuses silently, tearing apart a giant spider's remains with practiced efficiency. Essel tries to lighten the mood, joking that looting is harder than it looks, but her expression soon darkens as she glances toward the sealed boss chamber. Suho is fighting the dungeon boss alone inside. Even knowing his strength, she cannot help but worry. Inside the boss room, Suho faces a massive spider monster. The creature's enormous legs crash into the stone floor, shaking the chamber, but Suho moves with calm precision, dodging every strike. He leaps into the air and activates Storm Slash, unleashing rapid slashing attacks that tear into the spider's hardened exoskeleton. Venom sprays across the chamber as a system message appears. Paralysis activates but is weakened by the boss's high resistance. Suho immediately realizes the problem. Kasaka's venom is not effective against a creature with such strong resistance. Without hesitation, he adjusts his strategy. He throws his dagger with perfect accuracy, embedding it deep into the spider's eye. The monster screeches in pain, staggering backward. Before it can recover, Suho closes the distance and delivers a devastating punch straight to its head. The impact sends a shockwave through the room. The spider reels, its body trembling. Suho lands smoothly, breathing steady. If venom does not work, brute force will. As the fight continues, Suho becomes aware of something unsettling. Defeating C-rank bosses is starting to feel easy. Almost trivial, his confidence grows, and a new idea forms. He has used ruler's authority to manipulate objects before, but what if he applies it directly to his attacks? Gathering invisible force into his fist, Suho launches himself forward. When his punch connects, the result is catastrophic. The spider's skull caves in as the chamber echoes with a thunderous explosion. The monster collapses, completely crushed. System notifications flood Suho's vision. Ruler's authority levels up to level 2. No mana consumption. Suho immediately understands the significance. This changes everything. Exhausted but satisfied, Suho exits the dungeon. Essel and Grey rush to him in relief, praising his victory. Even Beru acknowledges Suho's growth, admitting that he defeated the boss without any assistance. Suho orders Beru to recover using the magic crystals they gathered, and praises the entire team for their work. As Suho sells the dungeon materials directly through the system shop, he reflects on how efficient the system has become. With the gold earned, he can prepare for even greater challenges. Checking his status, he realizes he has reached level 28, nearing A-rank territory. Yet something strange catches his attention. Essel and Grey have levels too. Neither of them can see a system window, yet their levels and stats are clearly increasing alongside Suho's. This anomaly troubles him, but one thing is clear. His companions are growing stronger with him. Before they can rest, Beru warns Suho not to become obsessed with leveling. At that moment, a disturbing sight appears. A red gate forms inside the shadow dungeon itself. From it, unlike anything they have seen before, a system alert appears. Urgent quest dimensional crack. Eliminate the cause. Suho smiles. This is exactly what he wanted. He equips Essel and Grey with heat-resistant robes and leads them toward the red gate without hesitation. Whatever lies beyond, Suho is ready. The scene then shifts to a distant desert, where two hunter groups stand on the brink of battle near an ancient pyramid. A B-rank hunter argues with an A-rank scavenger guild leader named Randolph. Just as violence is about to erupt, a masked figure suddenly appears. It is Suho. Casually scratching his head, he asks a simple question. Can someone tell me where I've ended up? Suho's calm expression immediately stands out, almost as if he has wandered into the wrong scene by accident. Despite the tension in the air, he looks relaxed, which confuses everyone watching him. To understand how he ended up here, the story rewinds to 30 minutes earlier. Suho, accompanied by Beru, Essel and Grey, steps through a shimmering red gate. The moment they enter, a violent sandstorm greets them. Suho instinctively shields his face, muttering that finally explains why sand had been blowing out of the gate earlier. The harsh environment makes it clear that this is a desert-type dungeon. Grey, unfazed as always, happily wags his tail, clearly enjoying himself despite the conditions. As the sand settles, Suho scans the horizon and notices massive dunes stretching endlessly in every direction. In the distance, a pyramid-like structure looms ominously. Suho quickly assesses the situation and confirms that this dungeon resembles an ancient desert ruin. At that moment, Beru stiffens. His antennae twitch as he locks his gaze on the distant pyramid. He senses an immense concentration of mana coming from that direction. Suho follows Beru's line of sight, but soon notices something deeply unsettling scattered across the desert floor. Trucks, heavy machinery, fences, and barbed wire. This immediately raises alarms. Machines should not function inside a dungeon at all. As they move closer, the scene becomes even stranger. The area looks disturbingly industrial, completely out of place in a dungeon environment. Suho's suspicion grows, and he turns to Essel, asking if they might have crossed into another world line by mistake. Essel examines a logo on one of the trucks and hesitates. She admits that this place does not feel like a normal dungeon. Beru, however, firmly disagrees. He insists that something far more unnatural is happening here. To be safe, Suho tells the group that, as long as the original gate remains connected to the shadow dungeon, they should be fine. He decides to check it himself. Essel quietly admires his calm leadership, calling him amazing, while Grey simply wags his tail in agreement. Suho briefly enters the shadow dungeon to confirm his theory. When he returns, his expression has completely changed. The confidence is gone, replaced by visible tension. Sensing something is wrong, Essel asks him what happened. Suho delivers the shocking truth. The gate is gone. The scene shifts outside the dungeon, where several people are waiting. Their boredom instantly turns to panic as the red gate disappears entirely. Some speculate that the boss might have been defeated, but a crippled man grimly points out that Suho has not returned. Emergency services are immediately called. Back inside, Suho cautiously enters the pyramid. To his surprise, he finds other people already inside. Hearing them speak English, Suho realizes something even stranger may be happening. He wonders if they somehow crossed into another country altogether. Deciding to gather information, Suho politely approaches and asks where he is. One of the men, Lu Xing, immediately grows suspicious, assuming Suho is another hunter interfering with their mission. Standing beside him is a towering man wielding a massive hammer. Randolph, a powerful figure radiating authority. Randolph is already irritated. Too many groups have converged on this dungeon, and it complicates his mission. His thoughts briefly drift to a prophecy he was told before arriving. A being born from death would rise from a fractured seal, appear at a tomb, and wield power over the dead. That prophecy is the reason his master sent him here. Randolph steps forward and issues Suho a cold warning. If Suho is here for the dungeon, he must leave immediately, or die. Suho quickly realizes that this is indeed a dungeon, and that he cannot simply walk away. An urgent quest binds him to this place. Locking eyes with Randolph, Suho calmly asks what will happen if he refuses. Randolph answers without hesitation. He will kill him. Without warning, Randolph charges forward at terrifying speed. His hammer crashes into the ground, shattering the sand and sending debris flying. Even Lu Xing flinches at the sheer power of the attack. When the dust clears, Randolph searches for Suho, only to find him standing unharmed at a distance. Suho had evaded the strike perfectly. Coldly, Suho mutters that Randolph attacked first. In the next instant, Suho darts forward and lands a powerful punch to Randolph's abdomen. Even while holding back, the blow cracks Randolph's armor and sends him staggering. Randolph is furious. Enraged that Suho dared to restrain himself, he retaliates with a brutal punch that sends Suho skidding across the sand. Then, roaring in anger, Randolph orders his men to kill everyone, including the Azura Guild and the Eastern Hunters. The battlefield erupts into chaos. Essel and Grey immediately charge forward, furious that Suho was struck. Lu Xing draws his blades, realizing that negotiation is no longer possible. Beru rushes to Suho's side, asking if he is hurt. Suho brushes himself off and assures him that he is fine, but his eyes darken as he surveys the battlefield. They must win this fight to clear the urgent quest. As Suho leaps into battle, he attacks a scavenger guild hunter, but hesitates when the man survives his kick. The hunter mocks him, calling him weak. Suho considers using his full power but hesitates again, afraid of killing him. That hesitation nearly costs him everything. Lu Xing intervenes at the last second, killing the attacker with a clean strike. He then confronts Suho directly, asking if he is afraid of killing. Lu Xing explained that humans can be far more dangerous than monsters, and that hesitation will only lead to death. Those words hit Suho hard. He watches Essel and Grey fighting nearby and realizes the truth. One day, holding back may no longer be an option. If he wants to survive and protect those beside him, he cannot afford mercy. Lu Xing offers Suho an alliance against the Scavenger Guild. Before Suho can answer, another enemy attacks from behind. This time, Suho reacts instantly. With a single devastating punch, he sends the attacker flying across the battlefield. Suho's hesitation is gone. He agrees to the alliance. As the battered hunter crashes near Randolph's feet, Randolph grins in excitement. Rank Tank had just been sent flying with one punch. This fight, he realizes, has finally become interesting. Suho introduces himself calmly. Suho. From Korea. The alliance is formed, and the true battle for the dungeon has only just begun. The battlefield descends into chaos as the Azura Guild and the Scavenger Guild clash head-on. Steel collides, war cries echo through the air, and the ground trembles beneath the sheer violence of the fight. When Suho arrives on the battlefield, his presence immediately shifts the tide. The Azura Guild fighters feel their morale surge, pressing forward with renewed strength and sharper attacks. On the opposite side, the Scavenger Guild reacts with mockery. They sneer at the sight of Suho fighting alongside Azura, calling them stray dogs, picked up out of desperation. Confident in their superior numbers and strength, they boast that the battle is already decided. Suho, however, remains completely unfazed. Calmly stepping forward, Suho pulls a black key from his pocket, its surface glimmering with ominous energy. He glances toward Xing, his voice low and steady, warning that the Scavenger Guild is about to face a rude awakening. Before anyone can react, Suho raises the key high and speaks a single command. Arise. The air itself trembles. The ground cracks open as a massive shadow dungeon portal bursts forth. flooding the battlefield with suffocating darkness. The clash of battle falls silent as both guilds freeze in shock. The Scavenger Guild's confidence evaporates instantly. From the swirling darkness emerges Suho's army. Enormous shadow spiders crawl forth first, their massive bodies and glowing predatory eyes instilling terror. Behind them follows a legion of grotesque shadow creatures, forming a nightmarish horde. The Scavenger Guild's taunts die in their throats as disbelief spreads across their faces. Xing stares in stunned silence, realizing the truth. Suho is not just a fighter. He is a summoner commanding an entire army. With a single command, Suho orders the attack. The Shadow Army surges forward like a black tide, tearing into the Scavenger Guild's ranks with brutal efficiency. Screams erupt as formations collapse and chaos spreads across the field. Amid the carnage stands Randolph, the leader of the Scavenger Guild. Instead of fear, a dark grin spreads across his face. Locking eyes with Suho, he mocks him for hiding such power and decides to stop holding back. With a massive swing of his colossal hammer, Randolph obliterates one of the giant shadow spiders in a single blow. He charges forward, smashing through Suho's shadow army with overwhelming force. Even Suho's summons are torn apart as Randolph advances like a human disaster. Seeing this, Beru steps beside Suho and warns him gravely. Randolph is no ordinary opponent. He is the strongest human on the battlefield and is cutting through the shadow army with ease. Suho clenches his jaw and turns to Grey, issuing a decisive command. It is time to use their bonding skill. Before they can act, Essel steps forward. Her eyes burn with determination as she interrupts, insisting that she bond with Suho instead. She explains that during training, she discovered a way to increase the bonding rate and believes she can make a real difference in battle. Grey immediately objects, clearly displeased, but Essel refuses to back down. Suho hesitates, torn between caution and desperation as Randolph continues his rampage. Before a decision is made, the battlefield shakes violently. Mummified monsters begin emerging from the shadow dungeon, their hollow eyes glowing as they swarm the battlefield. Xing slashes one down and realizes the terrifying truth. They are completely surrounded. Essel urgently informs Suho that all exits are blocked. Randolph watches the rising undead with a strange expression, murmuring about an ancient prophecy. The words, "the one born of death, who shattered the seal," echo in his mind as realization strikes. His gaze snaps back to Suho. It's him. Abandoning the battle entirely, Randolph orders the Scavenger Guild to rush straight for the boss room, intending to steal the dungeon itself. Xing desperately warns Suho, but Suho knows they cannot allow this. With resolve, Suho turns to Grey and confirms his decision. They will use the bonding skill. As Suho prepares to move, a massive mummy lunges at him. He sidesteps effortlessly and unleashes a devastating flurry of attacks, reducing the undead to dust in seconds. His power leaves Xing in awe. Suho can summon an army and fight like a monster himself, and he is still holding back. Essel watches from behind, her shoulders slumping. Once again, she is unable to stand beside Suho in battle. Quietly, she vows that one day she will prove herself worthy. Without wasting time, Suho orders the group to push forward and pursue the Scavenger Guild. Deep within the dungeon, Randolph and his guild reach the boss chamber. An enormous ancient door creaks open, revealing a colossal chained dungeon boss, bound by enchanted restraints. The oppressive aura alone crushes morale. As the creature stirs, ancient chants echo through the chamber. The chains shatter, the dungeon boss rises. In moments, it devastates the Scavenger Guild. Hunters are smashed into walls like insects. Their defense is meaningless. Even Randolph's strongest fighters are annihilated. Randolph activates his ultimate skill, Giant's Armor, his body swelling with green energy as he charges the boss with everything he has. His hammer strikes with earth-shaking force. The monster does not move. Terror grips Randolph as the truth sets in. He never stood a chance. The boss mocks him before delivering a single crushing blow, smashing Randolph into the wall and leaving his body broken beyond recognition. Gazing down at him, the dungeon boss sneers, unimpressed by the first human challenger. Turning toward the dungeon depths, the creature senses more intruders approaching, and it smiles. Inside the dungeon, Suho is locked in an unrelenting battle. His fists and kicks move with blinding speed, each strike pulverizing mummy monsters into clouds of dust. The battlefield is in complete chaos, yet Suho fights like a storm, cutting through the undead with controlled fury. Still, no matter how many mummies fall, more continue to rise from the darkness. Frustration flickers across Suho's face as he realizes the numbers are not thinning. These enemies simply keep coming. Searching for a way to turn the tide, Suho decides to test shadow extraction on one of the defeated mummies. He reaches out and activates the skill, expecting the familiar response. Instead, the system answers coldly. Shadow extraction failed. Old souls cannot be extracted. Suho freezes. Old souls. So even these creatures are off limits. First demons, now ancient undead. The restrictions on his powers are becoming increasingly severe. Behind him, Beru watches silently, his presence calm but alert, reminding Suho that he is not alone. Before Suho can dwell on the problem, the dungeon begins to tremble. At first, it is subtle. Then the vibration intensifies violently. Cracks split the ground beneath them, as the dungeon itself seems to collapse in rebellion. Without warning, the floor gives way entirely. Suho and the remaining members of the Azura Guild plunge downward as stone and debris crash around them. Then, with a deafening roar, the ground erupts. A massive centipede, like monster, bursts from below, its segmented body gleaming with a metallic sheen. Countless legs writhe in disturbing rhythm as its glowing eyes lock onto the hunters with pure malice. The creature screeches, its cry echoing through the cavern and sending fear rippling through everyone present. The centipede attacks immediately. It lunges forward at terrifying speed, far faster than its enormous body should allow. Hunters scatter in desperation. Some barely escape, while others are struck head on and flung aside like broken dolls. Bones shatter. Screams fill the air. Amid the chaos, Essel finds an opening and strikes. Her spear slams into the creature's armored flank, but the blade fails to penetrate. It barely leaves a scratch. She pulls back quickly and shouts a warning. The armor is too strong. My attacks aren't working. Nearby, Xing fights desperately against the endless mummies while shouting towards Suho. The situation is spiraling out of control. The Scavenger Guild has already pushed deeper into the dungeon, and the battlefield is collapsing on multiple fronts. Retreat may be the only option. Suho acknowledges the danger, but his thoughts are elsewhere. The urgent quest to resolve the dimensional crack remains unresolved. If they retreat now, can the Scavenger Guild be trusted to handle it? Doubt tightens in his chest. Then everything changes. A suffocating pressure floods the dungeon. The air thickens. Dust hangs unnaturally still. From the direction the Scavenger Guild advanced, something approaches. A towering presence emerges through the haze, radiating overwhelming malice. Every hunter freezes, instinct screaming to flee. Xing's face drains of color. The boss, it's coming from where the Scavenger Guild went. Suho locks eyes with the approaching figure. Above its head, glowing in ominous red letters, is a name that sends a chill through him. Amit, the prisoner of the Tom. This is no ordinary boss. The darkness surrounding Amit feels alive, shifting and writhing like a shadow given form. With casual authority, Amit surveys the battlefield. Then he speaks a single word. Disappear. At once, the mummies recoil in terror and scatter. Creatures that moments ago were relentless now flee in fear. Essel stares in disbelief. Did it just speak? Amit descends, landing near Essel with enough force to crack the ground. His shadow engulfs her. She struggles to move as his gaze pins her in place. Then he speaks again, this time directly to her, in the ancient language of monsters. You understand me? Essel steadies herself and answers truthfully. Yes, I am of the demon race. Amit laughs, amused. He remarks that it has been ages since he encountered someone capable of understanding him. For a fleeting moment, Essel wonders if this creature might not be immediately hostile. That hope vanishes instantly. Another centipede attacks from behind. Amit reacts with terrifying speed. One swing of his arm releases a shockwave that obliterates the centipede completely. Its remains scatter like shattered glass. The sheer power leaves everyone frozen in shock. Amit moves again, slicing another centipede cleanly in half. The battlefield falls silent. Hunters stare in awe and terror as the monster effortlessly slaughters other monsters. Then another centipede tries to ambush him from above. It clamps its jaws around Amit. For a moment, the dungeon holds its breath. Then Amit tears his way out from inside the creature drenched in blood, completely unharmed. He wipes his face in disgust. I despise insects. Xing trembles. This dungeon was supposed to be a routine investigation. This is something far beyond comprehension. Amit turns his gaze toward the humans and snarls. Those who cannot understand him are beneath notice. Then you must die. He charges. Essel shouts for him to stop, but Amit's attack does not slow. Just as the blow is about to land, Suho intervenes, slamming his fist into Amit's side. "Attacking us because we can't communicate." Suho shouts. "What kind of twisted values are those?" The strike barely phases Amit. He retaliates. With one brutal punch, Amit sends Suho flying into the dungeon wall. The impact shakes the entire chamber. Essel screams out in panic as Suho collapses, blood trickling from his mouth. Amit mocks them, amused, but then spares Essel momentarily. His curiosity is piqued. He asks her about the war between the monarchs and the Shadow Monarch. Before she can answer, Amit's patience runs out. "You all must die." As Amit prepares to strike, Suho lies broken on the ground. Every breath burns. His body screams in protest. But his resolve remains. With a hoarse whisper, he activates a saved reward. Claimed daily quest reward. Status recovery. A green light erupts behind Amit. Suho's wounds heal instantly. Strength floods back into his body. He rises to his feet, eyes sharp and unyielding. Then Suho speaks. "If you're asking about the War of the Monarchs, every last one of them fell to the Shadow Monarch." Amit freezes. "Even Tarnak, the Monarch of the Iron Body." Suho nods, unwavering. The dungeon grows darker as a crimson aura spills from Amit's body. His power surges, his shadow expanding endlessly. "Are you certain?" Amit demands, his gaze burning into Suho. With Amit looming over Suho, curiosity and rage colliding. As the truth of the Monarch's war threatens to ignite something far worse. Suho senses something deeply unsettling as he stands before the massive entity known as Amit. The name Monarch of the Iron Body echoes in his mind, and a chilling thought crosses him. If Amit learns the truth about Suho's father, the Shadow Monarch, the destruction that would follow could be immeasurable. Before Suho can gather his thoughts, Amit suddenly attacks. His enormous foot crashes down like a meteor, shattering the dungeon floor. Essel screams a warning, and Suho narrowly escapes, flipping back as shockwaves rip through the chamber. Furious, Suho demands to know why Amit attacked while they were still talking. Amit's glowing eyes narrow. He accuses Suho of hesitation, declaring that only liars hesitate. Then he asks the question he truly cares about. He demands to know whether Tarnak, the Monarch of the Iron Body, was killed by the Shadow Monarch. This time, Suho answers without hesitation. He confirms that the Shadow Monarch defeated all the monarchs. Instead of rage, Amit bursts into booming laughter. His reaction leaves Suho stunned. Amit laughs as if a long-held burden has finally been lifted. He mocks Tarnak's death and even says he owes the Shadow Monarch a toast for killing him. Confused, Suho asks if Amit was Tarnak's kin. Instantly, Amit's mood shifts. His laughter vanishes, replaced by pure fury. He roars that Tarnak was filth and that Suho has insulted him. Overflowing with power, Amit lunges forward, aiming a fatal blow at Suho. Just before impact, glowing chains erupt from the dungeon itself. They wrap tightly around Amit's body, freezing his attack inches from Suho's face. No matter how much Amit struggles, the chains tighten further, dragging him backward. Amit curses the chains, recognizing them as the same bindings that have haunted him for centuries. Powerless against them, he is violently pulled away and swallowed by shadows, vanishing completely. Shaken, Suho tries to understand what just happened. Essel rushes to check on him, and although Suho says he is fine, his confusion is clear. As they prepare to help Grey and the injured Azra Guild members, Suho suddenly notices something alarming. The system interface glitches. The emergency quest changes on its own. A new objective appears. Free the heir of the Iron Body, Amit from the pyramid. Stunned, Suho realizes Amit is not just a monster. He is the heir of the Iron Body. The scene shifts deeper into the dungeon, where Suho and Essel discover the slaughtered remains of the Scavenger Guild. At the center of the chamber, Amit is revealed once again, bound tightly by the glowing chains. Amit mocks Suho for returning, but Suho calmly states that their conversation was interrupted. As they talk, Suho notices something strange. Beneath Amit's rage, there is bitterness and pain. Amit finally reveals the truth. He was created by Tarnak and a powerful spellcaster. They transformed him into a monster and then sealed him away, abandoning him in this prison. No matter how many times he breaks the chains, they always reform when he strays too far. Suho realizes Amit is not the dungeon master. The chains exist for a reason. Thinking carefully, Suho makes a bold proposal. He tells Amit that if the dungeon collapses and the dungeon master is defeated, the chains would lose their purpose and disappear. Amit would finally be free. Amit is stunned. For the first time, hope appears in his eyes. After centuries of imprisonment, Suho's plan offers a real chance at freedom. Elsewhere in the dungeon, Beru complains loudly after being left behind with Amit, earning only insults in return. Despite the bickering, Amit quietly admits that he believes Suho will succeed. Back on the battlefield, Suho crushes powerful monsters with overwhelming force. Essel fights beside him, both of them exhausted but determined. Together, they push forward toward the dungeon's core. At the heart of the dungeon, they finally see it, a throne made of bones. A suffocating aura fills the air as crimson letters appear above the figure seated upon it. The name of the dungeon's warden is revealed, Shika, and the true battle is about to begin. Inside the ancient tomb, Suho steels himself for one final move. Nearby, Amit continues struggling against the enchanted chains that have bound him for centuries. To test their limits, Suho opens a shadow portal within Amit's reach, but the chains instantly tighten and yank him back. It becomes clear that the magic binding Amit cannot be bypassed so easily. After observing the enchantment, Suho explains the plan. First, he and Essel will defeat the dungeon's boss to destabilize the dungeon core. Once the dungeon begins collapsing, they will destroy the pillars anchoring Amit's chains. Only then can Amit be freed. When Amit questions what happens if the plan fails, Suho calmly states that he has contingencies. For Amit, however, even the risk is worth it. Anything is better than another 1,000 years of imprisonment. The scene shifts to the dungeon core, where the tomb guardian Shika awaits. Surrounded by a violent sandstorm, Shika conjures an orb of dark energy and releases it, transforming it into a horde of sand monsters. Suho charges head-on, cutting through them with precise, overwhelming force, but the dungeon itself turns against him. The sand coils around his legs, binding him in place under Shika's control. Essel attempts to strike with her spear, but Shika effortlessly deflects it. Suho realizes that this enemy doesn't rely on brute strength alone. Shika controls the dungeon itself. Breaking free with raw power, Suho calls out to Essel and orders her to activate their bond skill. Essel hesitates for only a moment before answering. Her hair turns white as crimson energy gathers around her. Drawing on everything she has left, Essel condenses her power and sends it into Suho. The transfer leaves her completely drained, collapsing to the ground, but Suho feels an overwhelming surge of strength flood his body. With the bond skill partially charged, Suho launches himself at Shika. The system confirms the skill is at 67%, but Suho doesn't hesitate. He unleashes everything in a single devastating punch. The impact obliterates Shika, sending shockwaves through the dungeon and triggering its collapse. Elsewhere, Beru senses the dungeon breaking apart and realizes Suho has succeeded. At the same time, Amit's chains begin to loosen. Hope stirs within him for the first time in centuries. As the restraints finally fall, Amit attempts to step forward, only to be violently impaled by enchanted stakes fired from the shadows. The spellcaster Tarnak reveals his final trap. The chains were never the true restraint. Even freedom triggers execution. A barrage of stakes rains down on Amit, but Suho reappears despite his injuries, intercepting them with his own body. He deflects the cursed projectiles into a shadow portal, shielding Amit at great personal cost. Confused and shaken, Amit demands to know why Suho would risk his life for him. Suho doesn't answer with words. He continues fighting. As another fatal strike flies towards Suho's heart, Amit steps in and smashes it aside. In that moment, Amit understands. The Shadow Monarch did not rule through power alone, but through conviction. Standing side by side, Suho and Amit repel the remaining stakes together until the curse finally ends. Later, inside the Shadow Dungeon, Essel wakens to find Suho resting peacefully. Amit lies nearby, free at last. System notifications appear confirming that Amit, Heir of the Iron Body, has been recruited as a companion and that the Dimensional Crack quest has been completed. Elsewhere, a mysterious man studies Sung Jin, Wu's records, troubled by the appearance of Stardust, something that never existed in the previous timeline. Before he can investigate further, he receives an urgent call. Yu Jinho begs for help. His nephew Suho has awakened as a hunter and is believed to be trapped inside a gate. The revelation sends a chill through the room. If Suho is in danger, the balance of the world itself may be at risk. On the ruined outskirts of the Pyramid Field dungeon, where a convoy of military trucks stands amid the devastation. Inside one of the damaged vehicles, the surviving members of the Azura Guild lie exhausted, barely conscious after their encounter with the dungeon. Among them, Xing slowly wakes up, his head pounding as fragmented memories of sandstorms, terror, and collapsing structures flood back. Cutting through the haze, Suho's voice reaches him clearly. Calm and unhurried, Suho tells him that the dungeon has already been cleared. To Xing, the words barely make sense at first, until he looks outside and realizes the truth. The massive pyramid that once dominated the landscape is completely gone, leaving behind nothing but cracked earth and silence. As if the situation were routine, Suho casually asks to borrow Xing's phone so he can make an important call. The realization hits Xing all at once. An impossible dungeon, cleared just like that. The scene shifts to Cairo International Airport, where Suho and the remaining Azura Guild members prepare to part ways. Despite their exhaustion, there is relief in the air. Xing thanks Suho sincerely, promising to stay in touch even after Suho returns to Korea. Suho, slightly embarrassed, thanks them in return for helping him get a flight home and for reconnecting him with his uncle. The memory of his uncle's panicked voice, terrified after learning Suho had nearly died in Egypt, lingers in Suho's thoughts. Though the incident has already been reported to the Hunter Association, a formal summons now hangs over Suho's head. Sensing something off, Xing quietly remarks that its strange and S-rank demon would simply leave and allow the dungeon to collapse. Suho laughs it off, claiming it was just luck, though internally he knows the truth must stay hidden. Elsewhere, inside the shadow dungeon, Amit stands tall despite the heavy chains still wrapped around his body. Though they remain, their power has faded. Essel remarks that the chains could not be fully broken, but Amit laughs it off, explaining the deal was never about removing them entirely. Being free from the tomb is enough. Without warning, Amit grabs Suho and leaps through the shadow realm, landing atop a towering structure. There, Amit senses something he hasn't felt in centuries, the faint presence of nature itself. Turning to Suho, he keeps his word, declaring he now follow the young monarch. Back at the airport, Suho boards his flight, exchanging one final glance with Xing. Though Xing smiles, suspicion lingers in his mind. Su isn't just strong, he fights like a monster himself. Determined, Xing decides the Azura Guild will begin investigating Suho in earnest. As Suho walks through the terminal, Beru emerges from his shadow, joking about flying in a metal bird. Suho checks his status window and realizes he has gained 7 levels at once from the boss fight and urgent quest. When he asks Beru where that places him, Beru confirms it clearly. Suho has reached A rank. Hearing this, Suho's resolve hardens. With his preparations complete, his thoughts turn toward Lai Minsung and the Aram Apostle. They won't see what's coming. The story then shifts to Korea, inside the headquarters of the rapidly rising Chivalry Guild. The hunters there celebrate their success, boasting about clearing B rank gates despite being mostly C rank. The reason is obvious. Stardust. Many praise it as a miracle easily acquired through the black market. Only Kim-soo, a B-rank hunter, voices concern. He openly states that something about Stardust feels wrong and mentions that the Hunter Association is considering banning it. The room falls silent, tension spreading quickly. Before the argument can continue, 3 unfamiliar figures enter the room. Their presence alone crushes the atmosphere. At their center stands a calm, unsettling boy. He confirms this is the Chivalry Guild and demands they surrender control of the Incheon Gate. When Kim refuses, the boy releases an overwhelming pressure. One by one, the hunters collapse to their knees, their eyes turning into yellow crosses as they speak in unison, declaring obedience to the Apostle. Kim realizes in horror that he is the only one unaffected. The Apostle notes this calmly. Kim never consumed Stardust. When Kim challenges him, calling his beliefs insane, the Apostle's expression turns cold. With a single command amplify, he empowers his blade and moves faster than Kim can react. In a single strike, Kim is cut cleanly in half, killed instantly. The Apostle orders the controlled hunters to erase their memories and dispose of the bodies. As more guild members arrive, he commands them forget everything they saw. Without resistance, they obey. Leaving the building, the Apostle reflects on free will and creation, disgusted by humanity's defiance of its creator. Deep within a dungeon, he approaches a massive chained monster and presses a glowing yellow crystal into its eye. The creature mutates violently, breaking free in a surge of destruction. As chaos erupts, the Apostle watches calmly and declares that this world will be forced back into its rightful order. At a crowded international airport, packed with travelers rushing through terminals, taxis honking outside, and luggage rolling across the floor. Amid the chaos, 3 hunters from the Hunter Association stand near a surveillance van, quietly monitoring the area. To ordinary people, they look like security personnel, but their tense expressions hint that something is wrong. Suddenly, a faint red glow begins to pulse nearby. It throbs like a living heartbeat. One of the hunters stiffens as a heavy wave of mana crashes into them. The pressure is suffocating, abnormal. Another hunter reaches for his weapon, warning that if the boss inside the gate is not dealt with soon, this could turn into a full-scale dungeon break. In a location as crowded as an airport, the consequences would be catastrophic. Before they can act, their eyes shift unnaturally, turning yellow. Their movements stiffen, their will slipping away. From the darkness beyond the gate, a commanding figure steps forward. The Apostle of Itarim has arrived. Silent figures stand behind him as the hunters, now completely controlled, speak in flat voices. They declare there is no danger and promise to report that the situation is under control. The Apostle calmly observes the unstable dungeon, its crimson energy writhing violently. Then, the gate collapses. The dungeon shatters, and monsters pour out, flooding the airport grounds. Screams erupt as civilians flee in every direction. Glass shatters. Sirens blare. Yet the Apostle remains unmoved, watching the destruction as if it were meaningless. As chaos unfolds, the Apostle drifts into memory. He recalls the past, a time when he and others like him were creations of higher beings, existing only to fulfill their Creator's will. They fought wars, claimed worlds, and conquered realms without question. One day, they were ordered to invade a world left without a ruler. But instead of an empty land, they encountered absolute darkness. That darkness was not just power, it was annihilation itself. Entire armies were erased. Worse still, those who fell were reborn as shadows, absorbed into a terrifying legion commanded by an overwhelming presence. The Shadow Monarch, their invasion became a massacre. Faith shattered. Hope died. Even the Apostles began to doubt. It was then that Teal, God's chosen envoy, proposed a new strategy. Instead of direct warfare, they would invade from within. Humans possessed no mana, or so they believed. By releasing the weakest among them, the Mistburns, they could spread faith like a disease, creating a divine foothold capable of summoning miracles. Fragments of divine power were split and sent across dimensions. But something went wrong. Humans began awakening mana due to an event known as the Cataclysm. Now back in the present, the Apostle realizes this was no coincidence. Hunters exist. Mana flows. The plan is no longer simple. He decides he must witness the peak of human potential. An S-rank hunter. As if summoned by fate, explosions rock the airport. Monsters rampage freely. A desperate voice cries out that it's a dungeon break. The Apostle calmly watches as hunters arrive, and instantly recognizes something disturbing. They are using stardust. With a subtle pulse of crimson energy, the Apostle exerts his authority. Several hunters freeze, their minds overwritten. One obediently bows and walks away, abandoning civilians to die. Nearby, a goblin brutally murders a helpless woman, stabbing her repeatedly as she reaches out in desperation. The Apostle watches without emotion. To him, life exists only to obey. Then something changes. Through the smoke and panic, a lone figure walks toward the battlefield instead of fleeing. It is Suho. Wearing a black mask, Suho calmly steps into the chaos. He clicks his tongue in annoyance, remarking that a dungeon break is one hell of a welcome. When a monster raises its weapon over a fallen civilian, Suho strikes first. A crushing kick sends the beast flying, the man to run. He will handle the rest. From afar, the Apostle watches closely. This masked hunter moves differently. Every strike is precise, efficient, controlled. The battlefield bends around him. This is not a normal hunter. Then recognition dawns. The Black Mask. This is the man Li Minsang warned him about. The one who destroyed the Hyena Guild. The Apostle's lips curl slightly, not in anger, but in interest. The saboteur has arrived, and for the first time, the Apostle realizes that this world may not be as defenseless as he believed. Chaos erupts at the airport as a full-scale dungeon break unfolds. Goblins rampage through the terminal, wielding crude, rusted weapons as they slaughter civilians without mercy. Screams echo through the halls as people desperately try to flee, only to be cut down. What was once a crowded transportation hub is reduced to a blood-soaked battlefield. In the midst of the carnage, a shadow moves, so fast that the goblins barely register its presence. In a blur of motion, goblins collapse one after another. Necks snap, bodies crumple. Each strike is precise, efficient, lethal. Suho moves like a wraith, his attacks clean and merciless. There is no hesitation, no wasted movement, only execution. After clearing the immediate area, Suho pauses and surveys the scene. Something feels wrong. A dungeon break of this magnitude should have been detected far earlier. The Hunter Association would never allow a gate capable of producing this many monsters to spiral out of control in such a populated area. This situation is unnatural, but there is no time to investigate yet. Civilians come first. Unbeknownst to Suho, someone is watching him closely. From within the chaos, an apostle of Naram observes in silence. His eyes narrow as he studies Suho's movements. There is no trace of stardust in his body, no corruption, no blessing of the Mizborn, and yet the aura surrounding him is overwhelming, a rogue existence. As Suho kneels beside the fallen goblins, the shadows beneath their corpses begin to stir. Darkness coils unnaturally, wrapping around the bodies before swallowing them whole. Moments later, 3 shadow goblins rise, their eyes glowing as they kneel in absolute obedience. Suho immediately orders them to assist civilians, prioritizing those who cannot escape on their own. Without question, the shadow goblins vanish into the chaos, moving with terrifying efficiency. The apostle's confidence wavers. That authority over darkness, it is identical. Menless surge through his mind. Endless shadow soldiers, entire armies erased. A power that once shook the world itself. The power of the Shadow Monarch. As realization sets in, cold sweat forms on the apostle's brow. The destruction of the Hyena Guild. The collapse of the Stardust Factory. Every disruption to their plans now points to one source. Him. Suho suddenly lifts his gaze. Their eyes almost meet. A chill runs through the apostle as panic surges. He suppresses his presence instantly. If Suho discovers him now, everything will collapse. He must retreat. Before he can escape, a deafening crash shakes the airport. A massive truck is hurled through the terminal, spinning before slamming into the building and erupting in a violent explosion. Fire, glass, and debris explode outward. Suho reacts instantly. He shields a nearby child with his body, absorbing the full force of the blast without flinching. Flames lick across his back, but he remains unmoved. As the smoke clears, Suho calmly checks the child for injuries. The apostle watches in stunned silence. Then a deep, earth-shaking roar fills the air. From the wreckage emerges a colossal bull-like monster, its yellow eyes burning with hostility. Its presence crushes the atmosphere. Suho instinctively prepares for battle. Beru materializes beside him. He senses it immediately. Adram's energy. That confirms it. This dungeon break is connected directly to the Itarim. Beru briefly notices the apostle nearby, but dismisses the presence, mistaking him for a harmless child. His focus returns to the real threat. The bull monster charges. Suho doesn't retreat. Instead, he allocates every newly gained stat point into strength. His power surges as the monster's fist collides with his own. The impact sends shockwaves ripping through the ground, cracking the pavement beneath them. Neither side yields. As the clash continues, the apostle watches intently. Suho's power is still incomplete, but the potential is undeniable. A dangerous variable. Just as the apostle resolves to eliminate Suho himself, a new presence enters the battlefield. A calm voice cuts through the chaos. Flames ignite. A hunter steps forward, fire blazing in his palm. His presence alone overwhelms the battlefield. Choi Jong-in, the S-rank fire hunter. With a single motion, he rains down fireballs, incinerating every remaining goblin in seconds. Even the apostle is forced to divert his attention. Choi forms a blazing bow, drawing an arrow of condensed flame. A monster charges, but it never reaches him. The arrow fires. The explosion annihilates the monster completely, launching its massive body far into the distance. The battle ends instantly. Civilians erupt into cheers. Suho remains hidden among the ruins. He understands immediately. If he stays, his identity will be exposed. It is too soon. He disappears into the shadows. As night falls, the apostle retreats to a hidden location. A crimson fragment manifests before him. The third fragment of the Itarim arrives. Without resistance, the apostle allows himself to be absorbed. When the light fades, a new being stands in his place. Stronger, more complete. His thoughts linger on one image. The boy who commands shadows. Killing him would be wasteful. Instead, the fragment smiles. Suho would be far more valuable as an ally. Suho sinks into his couch, exhaustion weighing heavily on his body. The events at the airport have drained him completely, and for the first time in a while, silence surrounds him. His eyelids droop as he allows himself a brief moment of rest. But peace never lasts long for him. From the shadows, Beru quietly emerges. his sharp gaze softening as he studies Suho's condition. He remarks that Suho looks like someone who survived a war and barely made it out alive. Suho exhales and replies dryly that he just endured an hour-long interrogation by his uncle. He recalls his uncle's scolding, worrying about Suho's safety and what he would tell Suho's parents if something happened to him. The memory tightens Suho's jaw. As he stares at the ceiling, Suho murmurs that parents must be worried too. Despite his fatigue, determination stirs inside him. He suddenly sits up, tossing the towel from his neck and declaring that rest can wait. He tells Beru that they are heading to the Shadow Dungeon to train. Beru hesitates, suggesting that even the Shadow Monarch's successor needs sleep, but Suho smirks and reminds him that he still hasn't completed his daily quest. Missing those rewards is not an option. With that, Suho opens a portal to the Shadow Dungeon and steps inside. However, the moment he enters, his confidence shatters. The atmosphere feels wrong. A heavy silence greets him, and his companions stand frozen. Suho quickly checks his status window, and his face drains of color. His daily quest has expired. All the goblins he relied on for training are gone. He demands to know what happened. Essel fidgets nervously, clearly uncomfortable. Before she can explain, Amit steps forward calmly and states that he eradicated them. He calls the goblins an infestation that needed to be removed. Suho is stunned. He realizes that every single goblin was wiped out overnight, destroying his training routine and slowing his growth. Komet remains unfazed and tells Suho that if he truly wants strength, he should not limit himself to goblins. He offers to personally train Suho and push him beyond his limits. Before Suho can properly react, the system activates and announces that a hidden quest has been unlocked. The quest focuses on preparation to become stronger. Suho accepts it reluctantly, only to freeze when he reads the requirements. 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, 100 squats, and a 10-kilometer run. His disbelief grows when a new condition appears. He must complete everything while carrying Amit. Before Suho can protest, Amit shrinks his body to a much smaller size, though his weight remains unchanged. The moment Amit hops onto Suho's back, the ground cracks under the pressure. Suho nearly collapses instantly as his body trembles under the unbearable load. Amit casually mentions that shrinking does not reduce his weight, much to Suho's horror. Suho begins the push-ups, his muscles screaming in protest. Sweat pours down his face as his arms shake violently. Beru watches with visible concern, muttering that Suho might actually die. Amit, however, laughs and orders him to continue. With every repetition, Suho's body deteriorates. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Lee Min-sung stands inside a hidden Stardust facility, watching a mistborn creature writhe in agony. The place resembles a crude laboratory, filled with broken equipment and the stench of blood. A demon overseer named Moma speaks to him, praising the apostle and the Stardust operation. Lee grows irritated and violently lashes out, severing Momu's tentacles and warning him not to judge him. Momu explains how the apostle saved him after the Shadow Monarch destroyed the demon realm, and how Stardust helped wipe out the later household. Lee listens coldly, refusing to use Stardust himself. He claims he will endure this situation only until Suho defeats Lim Tae, Jiu, after which he plans to hand everything over to the Hunter Association. Unbeknownst to Lee, a Hunter Association agent is secretly tracking him and reporting his movements. The chairman orders continued surveillance and prepares a full ban on Stardust, determined to dismantle the operation and expose those behind it. Back in the Shadow Dungeon, Suho stands trembling but unbroken. Blood still stains the ground beneath him, yet his eyes burn with resolve. He steels himself, ready to continue the brutal training. No matter the pain, he will keep going. Essel and Beru watch in stunned silence, their unease growing as the punishment escalates. Despite the pain, Suho finishes the set and immediately opens the system shop, downing a potion just to stay conscious. Without allowing him to recover, Komet commands him to continue with sit-ups, once again sitting on top of him like an immovable boulder. Realizing raw strength alone will not be enough, Suho activates his bonding skill with Grey. A faint aura surrounds him, reinforcing his body just enough to endure. Every sit-up becomes a battle against gravity and his own limits. His breathing turns ragged, his teeth clench, and his body trembles violently. But through sheer willpower, he completes the set. Before he can rest, the final trial begins, a 10-kilometer run. Amit perches smugly on Suho's shoulders, crossing his arms as if daring him to fail. Suho launches forward. Each step sends tremors through the dungeon floor, carving deep impressions into the stone. Sweat pours down his face, his lungs burn, and his legs feel like they are tearing apart. His vision blurs, tears mixing with sweat, yet he refuses to stop. To Suho, stopping means weakness, and weakness is unacceptable. As Suho continues running, Amet silently observes him, realizing that Suho never surrenders, no matter how impossible the challenge. If this continues, Amet thinks, Suho may one day surpass Tarnak, perhaps even the other monarchs. When Suho finally reaches the finish line, he collapses, gasping for breath and joking weakly that he needs 1 or 2 more potions. Gray, no longer strengthened by their bond, collapses beside him. Both lie motionless, completely drained. The system chime echoes through the dungeon, announcing daily quest rewards available. Beru, Essel, and Amet approach, their expressions filled with mixed admiration and concern. Beru acknowledges that today's training is complete. Suho checks his status and sees the results of his suffering. His strength has risen dramatically, and his endurance has increased from 40% to 60%. Exhausted but satisfied, Suho smiles. The pain was worth it. He tells Amet he will be counting on him again tomorrow, and Amet accepts with an approving smirk. Back home, Suho collapses onto his bed and falls asleep instantly, quietly covers him with a blanket, softly telling him that he did well. Finally relaxing, Beru turns on the television, only for the mood to instantly darken. Breaking news reports announce that the Hunter Association has introduced strict new regulations on field-type dungeons following the catastrophic airport dungeon incident. Footage of destruction fills the screen. These dungeons, highly valuable for rare resources, are often controlled by private guilds. Now, major guilds, including the Grim Reaper Guild, will face immediate scrutiny. The scene shifts to Lee Min-sung, Vice Guild Master of the Grim Reaper Guild, sitting in a lavish office. Furious, he confronts Hunter Association officials who inform him that his guild controls too many unstable field dungeons. They issue an urgent order: the B-rank field dungeon, Pyo Field, must be cleared immediately. If Min-sung refuses, his hunter license will be reviewed. Min-sung realizes this is Chairman Wu's move. Pyo Field is the largest Stardust production site, and this order threatens everything. Before he can refuse, a calm voice interrupts. Lim Tae-yu, the S-rank hunter and guild master of the Grim Reaper Guild, enters and agrees to comply with the association's request. Min-sung seethes as the officials leave. Lim Tae-jai warns him that the association likely already knows about his secret activities and accuses him of using guild members for personal schemes. Their confrontation is cut short when Lim Tae-ju receives a call. A new S-rank hunter has appeared in Korea, and he leaves to investigate. Left alone, Min-sung's anger turns venomous. He mutters about an Orlean brat and wishes for the fragment to reappear. Then his phone buzzes again. Reading the message, he breaks into manic laughter. At the Hunter Association headquarters, reporters swarm around the newly revealed S-rank hunter, Park Do-yoon. When asked to choose a guild, Park calmly points to Lim Tae, declaring he will join the Grim Reaper Guild, shocking everyone. 1 week later, at the frozen Pyo Field dungeon, hunters assemble for the raid. Baek Miho of the White Tiger Guild arrives, suspicious of Lee Min-sung's charming facade. She notices Park Do-yoon among the group and senses he is a dangerous variable. Finally, the perspective shifts to the excavation team. Among them stands Suho, disguised as a worker, silently gripping a pickaxe as he prepares to enter the dungeon. Fully aware that this raid will expose everything, the chapter rewinds a few days into the past, inside the luxurious headquarters of the Grim Reaper Guild. Sunlight pours through tall windows, illuminating the polished interior where Lee Min-sung, the Vice Guild Master, lounges comfortably with a drink in hand. Across from him sits a calm, unreadable man known publicly as Park Do-jin, who is in truth an apostle of the outer gods. Lee Min-sung mocks how much the apostle has changed, remarking on how quickly aliens evolve. The apostle responds coldly, explaining that appearances are irrelevant now that he has regained his true power. When questioned about his human identity and why he became a hunter, the apostle explains that the name Park Do-jin is simply a tool. Becoming a hunter allows him to operate freely on Earth without restrictions. Their conversation grows tense as Lee Min-sung complains that the Hunter Association has been scrutinizing him ever since the apostle caused chaos at the airport. If the investigation uncovers the truth behind the Pyo Field Stardust facility, they will both be finished. The apostle reassures him. During the upcoming raid, he plans to convert every hunter involved into followers, erasing all evidence. Lai Min-sung probes further, asking whether the apostle is confident he can face Lim Tae-gyu, the S-rank hunter. The apostle recalls their previous encounter and admits that fighting him right now would be dangerous. Lai Min-sung hides his satisfaction, deciding that he does not care who dies as long as his problems disappear. The scene shifts to the Hunter Association headquarters, where the chairman prepares for the Pai Field raid. With support from the White Tiger Guild, S-rank hunters Bak Mi-ho and Choi Jong-in are on standby. However, one detail troubles him deeply. The newest S-rank hunter, Park Do-jin, has joined the Grim Reaper Guild at the worst possible time. The timing feels deliberate. As he reviews the operation, his attention falls on another name. Suho has been approved to join the excavation team. The chairman hesitates, wondering if this decision will trigger something far bigger than anticipated. The raid begins inside the Paiu Field dungeon, where chaos erupts. A colossal fire, breathing monster rampages through the battlefield, flooding the cavern with heat and smoke. Hunters struggle to hold the line as the tank braces against relentless flames. At the critical moment, Bak Mi-ho steps forward. With overwhelming power, she strikes down the behemoth in a single devastating blow. Without pause, she continues tearing through monsters with explosive speed, shattering salamander-type beasts one after another. Her movements are precise, brutal, and absolute. Yet something feels wrong. Despite the dungeon's scale, the number of monsters is far too low. Suddenly, Park Do-jin appears beside Mi-ho. With effortless motions, he annihilates several high-level monsters bare-handed, moving as though the battle is nothing more than a casual walk. Mi-ho watches in stunned silence, realizing the terrifying gap between even S-rank hunters and beings like him. Moments later, Lai Min-sung arrives, casually explaining that the Grim Reaper Guild routinely clears monsters from dungeons under its control. Mi-ho senses something off. Large guilds do not waste resources like this without reason. For a brief moment, she catches a crack in Lai Min-sung's composure, confirming her suspicion that he is hiding something. Elsewhere in the dungeon, a far darker truth is revealed. Deep within a hidden laboratory, the demon Mermu oversees rows of hollow, lifeless humans. These are failed products of a stardust factory. Mermu complains that the apostle has forbidden them from producing more stardust, wasting valuable resources. Before he can continue, a presence enters the room. Suho. Guided by Beru, Suho steps inside and instantly recognizes the truth. These humans have lost control of their minds. This is a stardust factory. Without hesitation, Suho launches forward and obliterates Mermu with a single punch, smashing the demon into the wall before striking again and reducing him to a mangled heap. Beru calmly praises Suho's growth, noting that his training has paid off. But the victory is not over. Mermu's body begins to regenerate. His broken form twists and expands as crimson energy floods the room. He rises into a massive, grotesque monster, laughing as he declares Suho the perfect offering for the apostle. Suho stands his ground, completely unfazed. His eyes lock onto the transformed demon as the air grows heavy with killing intent. The battle is about to truly begin. Deep within a crystal-filled dungeon, exhausted miners work endlessly, harvesting vast quantities of mana crystals embedded into the dungeon walls. They complained about the abnormal amount of magic essence present, and question why a supposedly guild-controlled dungeon is producing so much profit. Their conversation briefly turns to a young E-rank hunter assigned to entrance duty, pushing a cart loaded far beyond normal capacity. Though mocked, one miner acknowledges the boy's effort, unaware of the truth unfolding deeper inside the dungeon. Elsewhere, Suho stands face to face with a powerful demon named Mermu. From Suho's shadow, Beru emerges and immediately senses the demon's overwhelming magic. Suho confirms it himself. Mermu's power rivals that of an A-rank hunter, comparable to Randolph from the Pyramid Field dungeon. This confirms Suho's suspicion that the Grim Reaper Guild was deliberately assigned to this dungeon because of its connection to the Stardust operation. Suho demands answers, asking directly about the whereabouts of the Itarim apostle. The demon mocks him, recognizing Suho as another hunter chasing the apostle. Without warning, Mermu's tentacles lash out and bind Suho's ankle, tightening with crushing force. The demon boasts about his absolute strength and promises to deliver Suho to the apostle after breaking him beyond recovery. Suho remains completely calm. Mocking the demon's confidence, Suho recalls the brutal training he endured under Amet. Those 5 days of relentless training, combined with every stat point invested into strength, and the newly acquired strength enhancement skill had transformed his body far beyond human limits. His strength now exceeds 120. In an instant, Suho shreds Mermu's tentacles apart with raw physical force. Flesh tears, dark blood spills, and the demon's so called unbreakable grip collapses before Mermu can react. Suho moves faster than the eye can follow, knocking out the demon's subordinates with single blows. Terrified but defiant, Mermu attempts to fight back. Suho catches the demon's punch effortlessly. With chilling composure, he grips Mermu's head and tears it clean off. The lifeless body collapses as Suho mercilessly slashes it apart, ensuring there is nothing left to regenerate. Mermu's consciousness lingers in his severed head long enough to realize the horrifying presence standing before him. Before he can think further, Suho casually tosses the head to Beru, who devours it without hesitation. Beru confirms that Mermu viewed the apostle as a divine being, but little useful information could be extracted. At the same time, Ezel, resting in the shadow dungeon, suddenly feels lighter. Something within her has changed. Suho realizes another lead has gone cold and shifts focus to evacuation. The civilians and miners must be removed before the situation escalates further. Meanwhile, far away, the Itarim apostle senses Mermu's disappearance. As hunters arrive at the dungeon's boss chamber, Lee Min-sung, Vice Guild Master of the Grim Reaper Guild, secretly communicates with the apostle. The apostle decides to abandon subtlety. Without warning, the apostle implants a shard of concentrated stardust into Lee Min-sung's neck. His body convulses as his consciousness is dragged into a void, where a golden cross-shaped symbol burns itself into his eyes. His will shatters. Lee Min-sung returns to reality as a puppet. With calm satisfaction, the apostle declares that every hunter present will become his follower. As Lee Min-sung stands silently under full control, the apostle turns his attention toward the remaining hunters, amused and confident, with the clear revelation that the enemy has already infiltrated the Hunter Association from within, and the true battle is only beginning. Outside the Piefield dungeon, a sleek black car waits silently. Inside, Choi watches a small, ethereal blue flame shaped like a bird flicker in the air. He explains that the flame is a summoned signal. If it goes out, it means something has gone wrong inside the dungeon, and that will be their cue to intervene. It is a clever workaround to the dungeon's interference with communication devices. Choi remarks that, ideally, this situation can be resolved without involving S-rank hunters. Beside him sits Lim Tae-ju, visibly tense. Their conversation turns sharp when Choi casually mentions Lee Min-sung, hinting that trouble may be brewing. Lim reacts defensively, irritated by Choi's tone. The tension between them reveals deeper resentment, including the fact that Park Do-jin, an S-rank hunter, chose to join the Grim Reaper Guild instead of Choi's. Lim makes it clear that as a guildmaster, he cannot ignore the scandal involving Stardust. If things spiral out of control, he insists Choi stay out of it unless absolutely necessary. Inside the dungeon, chaos erupts. A massive salamander-type boss monster charges up a devastating flame breath. The raid party braces themselves as the tank absorbs the inferno head-on, barely holding the line. Amid the flames, Lee Min-sung charges forward. His movements are unnervingly precise and aggressive, far beyond what an A-rank hunter should display. His face is eerily blank, as if his will has been stripped away. Miho, one of the hunters, immediately senses something is wrong. Lee Min-sung's speed, power, and ferocity are completely abnormal. Even more disturbing is the behavior of the Itarim apostle, who stands back and watches instead of joining the fight. This alone raises Miho's suspicions. From the shadows, the apostle calmly analyzes the situation. He confirms that ordinary stardust has no effect on high-ranking hunters, but its concentrated form, the star fragment, is different. When Lee Min-sung suddenly moves with overwhelming force, the apostle decides to intervene directly. He invokes one of the 5 abilities of his true body, Blessing of Amplification. A radiant blue aura engulfs Lee Min-sung. His sword begins to glow, its power multiplying beyond natural limits. The apostle explains that this amplification enhances both the hunter's innate magic power and the unique properties of their weapon. He urges Lee Min-sung to show him the power of an S-rank hunter. Lee Min-sung strikes. A single swing of his blade releases a massive arc of energy that obliterates the salamander boss, tearing through its body and rupturing the dungeon ceiling. The explosion is so intense it is felt outside the dungeon, where Choi and Lim watch in stunned silence. That level of power should have been impossible for an A-rank hunter. Inside, Miho stares in shock at the crater left behind. Lee Min-sung stands motionless amid the destruction, his expression cold and empty. The apostle, however, is unimpressed. He notes that even with amplification, Lee Min-sung can only sustain S-rank power briefly. The strain on his body is severe, and most of the enhancement has already faded. The apostle openly mocks him for lacking the capacity to truly wield such power. Suddenly, everything changes. Without warning, Lee Min-sung drives his sword straight through the apostle's back. Blood spills as the apostle collapses forward in disbelief. Lee Min-sung laughs darkly, declaring that the power forced onto him will now be used on his own terms. His eyes turn abyssal black, revealing that he has not been fully controlled. The other hunters freeze in horror. Miho demands answers, accusing him of losing his mind to stardust. Lee Min-sung's laughter grows unstable as his eyes flicker between gold and black. He realizes that S-rank hunters are already outside, and staying any longer means certain death. When Miho orders the team to stop him, Lee Min-sung releases a killing aura and warns them to move or die. He tears through the remaining hunters with terrifying speed and escapes through the shattered ceiling. In the aftermath, Miho orders an emergency signal to be sent, but her relief is short-lived. The apostle rises to his feet. Despite the fatal wound, he stands calmly, blood dripping from his back. He muses that even overwhelming magic power can be resisted if the will is strong enough. This discovery amuses him greatly. His survival confirms that he is far more dangerous than anticipated. Elsewhere, Lee Min-sung flees through the forest, furious and desperate. Despite possessing power rivaling an S rank, he is being hunted by every side. He resolves to disappear into a nearby city to regroup. Before he can move further, a blade whistles through the air and embeds itself in the ground at his feet. A familiar presence steps out of the shadows. Suho, calm, composed, and radiating pressure. Suho blocks his escape. He looks directly at Lee Min-sung and issues a single demand. Tell me everything you know about Stardust and the Itarim Apostle. The confrontation finally coming face to face. The tension in the forest thickens as Suho faces Lee Min-sung head-on. The surrounding area falls eerily silent, as if the world itself is holding its breath. Inside his own mind, Lee Min-sung struggles to stay composed. Suho knows far too much. About Stardust, about the Apostles, things that should never be common knowledge. Min-sung's gaze drifts to Suho's hands, locking onto the Vulcan gauntlets. A cold realization strikes him. Rumors had spread about a masked hunter who dismantled Braichi's operations and crippled the Stardust supply chain. Sweat trickles down his face as fear sets in. Could Suho be that hunter? Knowing he can't hesitate, Min-sung lunges forward, convinced that his superior magic power guarantees victory. He sneers, calling Suho weak, and swings his sword with lethal intent. Suho doesn't flinch. At the last moment, Suho calmly catches the blade with his bare hand. The metallic screech echoes through the forest. No matter how hard Min-sung pulls, the sword refuses to move. Before he can even process what's happening, Suho delivers a devastating kick to his jaw, sending him flying through the air and crashing into the ground. Min-sung is shaken to his core. His magic power is higher, so why is he being overwhelmed so completely? Watching from the shadows, Beru smirks. Hunters judge strength by magic output alone. But Suho's power comes from something else entirely. His body has been honed beyond what even an A-rank hunter could achieve, strengthened through relentless combat and training far outside human norms. Suho presses forward mercilessly. Each strike is precise, overwhelming, and brutal. This isn't a battle, it's a one-sided beating. Min-sung realizes the truth. He cannot win. Elsewhere, the Pyrofield dungeon, inside the ruined dungeon. Miho stands wounded, staring in disbelief at the Apostle Park Do-jon, who should be dead. Despite being pierced through the heart earlier, he stands unharmed, summoning a pulsating Stardust crystal. Before he can act, Choi and Lim too, both S-rank hunters, arrive. They immediately sense something is wrong. Miho explains that Lee Min-sung caused the destruction, and that his power was unnatural, as if boosted by something dangerous. Park Do-jon claims he possesses a rare recovery ability, but suspicion lingers. Before they can investigate further, they realize Hunter Lim has disappeared, and has gone after Min-sung alone. The Apostle senses it. His control over Min-sung is weakening. Back in the forest, the truth surfaces. Min-sung suddenly stops fighting. Desperate, he offers information in exchange for his life. He admits he worked the Apostle of the Itarim, distributing Stardust in exchange for one thing: revenge. After the cataclysm, His life was destroyed, and he wanted someone erased from existence. Suho listens but makes his stance clear. He isn't hunting the apostle to kill him. Not yet. Minsung mocks him for that mercy, calling him Nai. He warns Suho that one day, he will be forced to kill someone important. Before he can finish his sentence, his body suddenly locks up. Inside Minsung's mind, darkness consumes everything. The apostle appears, towering and merciless. Minsung has spoken too much. The apostle seizes control. Apostle descent in the real world. Minsung's body erupts with divine energy. The forest shakes violently as golden light pours out of him. His sword fuses into his arm. Massive radiant wings burst from his back. What stands before Suho is no longer human. It is a vessel fully possessed by the apostle. Beru senses it immediately. This power surpasses even what they faced against Brashi. Reality itself bends under the apostle's presence. He speaks calmly, almost amused, revealing that Suho's actions, attacking Stardust factories and hunting Minsung, were all bait that successfully lured him out. The apostle spreads his wings and looks directly at Suho. He has been waiting for this meeting. The apostle acknowledging Suho, the Black Mask, not as a coincidence, but as a threat worth confronting. At a critical standoff, Lai Minsung's body is no longer his own. An apostle of the outer gods has fully taken control, revealing himself through glowing golden eyes, radiant wings, and a divine blade pulsing with otherworldly power. The apostle calmly declares his goal to claim dominion over Earth. Suho immediately recognizes the truth. This being is directly connected to the reason his father, Sung Jinwoo, cannot return. Enraged but composed, Suho confronts the apostle head-on, making it clear that Earth will not fall without a fight. Before either can move, Lim Tae-ju, an S-rank hunter, forcefully intervenes. His presence alone crushes the battlefield with pressure. He orders both Suho and the apostle to stand down, aiming his bow directly at Lai Minsung and demanding answers. Sensing danger, the apostle attempts to withdraw, suggesting they continue their conversation somewhere higher. Lim Tae-ju fires without hesitation. The apostle effortlessly dodges, and the arrow nearly strikes Suho instead. Su barely avoids it, realizing just how dangerous the situation has become. Lim unleashes a barrage of mana-infused arrows, but both Suho and the apostle evade them with near-impossible precision. Even Lim Tae-ju is shaken. Two beings are dodging attacks that should be unavoidable. Using the chaos, Suho deploys a shadow goblin as a decoy, distracting Lim Tae-ju for a single moment. That instant is enough. Both Suho and the apostle disappear, leaving Lim behind, furious at having been outplayed. Later, Lim reports the failure to the Hunters Association president. He admits Lai Minsung escaped and reveals something alarming. Another masked hunter was present. This triggers concern among senior hunters, as similar reports surfaced during the airport dungeon incident. The chairman considers the possibility of Sung Jinwoo's return but quickly dismisses it. If Jinwoo were back, none of this chaos would still exist. That leaves one question unanswered. Who is the masked hunter really? The scene shifts to a desolate mountain peak. This is the battlefield the apostle chose. Suho arrives alone, facing the apostle without interference. The apostle praises Suho for helping him escape and probes his connection to the Shadow Monarch. Suho responds coldly. He already knows the apostle will abandon Lai Minsung's body the moment things turn against him. The apostle grows intrigued, confirming that demons speak of a being who commands absolute darkness. He wants answers. Suho refuses to explain. Instead, he prepares for war. At Suho's command, arise, his shadows erupt. His full force reveals itself. Kasoka, the swamp's venomous king, the titanic desert centipede, a towering high troll, and Shika, the Tom Warden, forming an overwhelming army of shadow beasts. Then Suho does something unprecedented. He activates the Shadow Dungeon key, expanding the battlefield itself. From the shadows emerge Grey and Essel, completing Suho's formation. Suho makes his intent clear. There will be no restraint, no testing. This fight is meant to end here. For the first time, the apostle's confidence wavers, then transforms into exhilaration. Faced with Suho's true strength, he smiles widely, thrilled by the challenge ahead. With both sides fully unleashed, the decisive battle between the Shadow Monarch's heir and the Apostle of the Outer Gods is about to begin. The confrontation between Suho and the Aram Apostle, the being possessing Lai Minsung. The tension is suffocating as Suho stands firm, his shadow army forming an overwhelming wall of darkness behind him. Across from him, the Apostle is visibly exhilarated, thrilled by the sight of Suho and his growing power. A system window suddenly appears before Suho, delivering a grim quest. Objective: defeat Lai Minsung, the Apostle's vessel, and extract his memories. Suho tightens his grip, accepting that there is no longer any room for hesitation. This fight will end in death. As Suho steels himself, the Apostle's thoughts drift elsewhere. For the first time, he begins to understand emotions. Fragmented memories of Sung Jin, Wu, the Shadow Monarch, surface in his mind. He recalls witnessing Jin, Wu annihilate an entire dimension alone, commanding an endless army while standing in absolute solitude. That memory shakes him. Facing Suho now, wonders if this boy might hold the answer to the loneliness of true darkness. The battle erupts. Kasoka, the venomous serpent, launches at the Apostle with lethal speed. But the Apostle responds with a single effortless slash, cleaving Kasoka cleanly in half. Without pausing, Suho closes the distance himself, choosing direct combat over relying solely on his shadows. His punches rain down with relentless force, cracking the ground beneath them. The Apostle blocks each strike with precise swordsmanship, quickly realizing that Suho is deliberately using his army as a distraction while attacking head-on. A brief opening appears, and the Apostle counters. Suho narrowly avoids the fatal strike, but the attack instead bisects the massive shadow centipede behind him. Before the Apostle can press his advantage, Essel charges in with her spear, striking from behind. The Apostle dodges with minimal movement and captures her effortlessly, lifting her off the ground. He notes coldly that she is not one of Suho's shadow soldiers. Suho reacts instantly, slamming a devastating kick into the Apostle's face and freeing Essel. However, the attack barely affects him. For the first time, the Apostle's amusement fades, replaced by irritation. He questions why Suho is not properly utilizing his shadow army. Suho understands what the Apostle wants to see. At his command, Shika, the Tomb Guardian, erupts from the ground. Massive shadow hands seize the Apostle, while shifting sands lock him in place. Suho gathers every ounce of strength he has and unleashes a full, powered punch. The impact detonates the battlefield, tearing the earth apart. For a moment, it seems decisive, then the Apostle breaks free. The backlash sends Suho flying. Before he can recover, the Apostle moves at incomprehensible speed, striking Suho head-on, then vanishing again to wound Essel and annihilate one of Suho's strongest shadow monsters. The power gap becomes terrifyingly clear. Suho realizes in horror that his Vulcan gauntlets are cracking under the Apostle's attacks. The Apostle finally speaks his judgment. Suho's authority resembles that of the Shadow Monarch, but it is shallow. He declares Suho weak, stating that those who stand at the peak of power must stand alone. As Suho hesitates for a split second, the Apostle capitalizes. The Vulcan gauntlets shatter completely. System message of Vulcan's horn has been destroyed. Before Suho can react, the Apostle drives his blade straight through Suho's torso. Blood spills as Suho is impaled, his strength rapidly draining away. Essel screams his name, helpless to intervene. The Apostle coldly declares his intention to strip Suho of the authority of darkness and reshape him into a disciple who understands true power. As Suho hangs on the brink of death, memories flood his mind. Lai Minsung's mocking words echo. Beru's casual advice about shadow, transformed weapons resurfaces. Then deeper memories emerge, from before awakening, from a time when Su gave up easily on things he loved, like drawing. A realization takes hold. He has been chasing power without understanding himself. He has been trying to walk his father's path instead of forging his own. With bloodied lips, Suho whispers a single command: arise. The Apostle scoffs, noting that shadows are immortal. But then something unprecedented happens. Suho's shadow soldiers begin to merge, fusing together into a single grotesque, overwhelming entity. Even the Apostle is shaken. He has never seen such a phenomenon, not even during the war against the Shadow Monarch. Then Suho does something even more shocking. He severs his bond with Grey. Suho's aura transforms violently. Shudders coil around his body, reshaping him. His presence deepens into something raw and primal. This is not borrowed power. This is not imitation. For the first time, So is no longer merely wielding darkness. He is becoming it. Suho standing on the edge of true awakening. The battlefield trembling beneath the birth of a power unlike anything the Apostle has ever faced. Suho's inner awakening as his battle with the Apostle reaches a terrifying new phase. As Suho clashes with the Apostle, his consciousness is suddenly pulled into a memory from childhood. The battlefield fades, replaced by a peaceful winter evening from his hometown. A young Suho runs ahead through snow-covered streets, declaring that he wants to become strong like his parents. Sung Jin, Woo and Cha-hei watch quietly, and Che kneels to tell Suho something important. She reminds him that neither she nor Jin, Woo would ever choose his path for him. Whatever dream he chooses must be his own, and he must always ask himself what he truly wants. That memory dissolves, replaced by another. This time, Suho remembers drawing endlessly while Senior Lim comments on his sketches. Lim points out that unlike most people, Suho grows freer the more he draws. Even his strange hand drawings reflect creativity rather than limitation. These memories hit Suho hard. He realizes that at some point, he stopped asking what he wanted and began chasing power simply to resemble his father. Reality crashes back in. Suho is still gripping the Apostle's sword, his hand bleeding, but his resolve is unshaken. The shadows around him begin reacting instinctively, no longer constrained by rigid form. Suho understands something crucial. His shadow form evolved so quickly because the system synchronized it with his instincts, not rules. From this moment on, he decides he will no longer resist that instinct. The Apostle immediately senses the change. Darkness erupts from Suho's body, swallowing the battlefield. His presence becomes overwhelming, fluid, and untamed. Even Beru, hidden within Suho's shadows, is forced to withdraw, retreating to Essel and Grey as the shadows pull uncontrollably towards Suho. Beru admits something is wrong. Suho is shedding his former self. The Apostle watches closely and realizes Suho is no longer bound by fixed limits. This shouldn't be possible. Hunters are not meant to evolve mid-battle. Yet Suho's wounds begin regenerating as shadows form armor over his body. His transformation completes. His eyes glow white and lethal. Suho realizes that shadows are not weapons with fixed shapes. They are limitless, adaptable, and transferable. Shadow beasts launch attacks, but the Apostle cuts them down effortlessly, mocking Suho's summons. Then he looks up and freezes. Suho is walking toward him, power gathering not just from shadows, but something far more volatile. A system notification appears. Bonding skill activated, Demon Strike. At that moment, Essel transforms. Her hair turns white as she releases every ounce of her mana into Suho. He launches forward with a devastating fusion of shadow form, ruler's authority, and demon strike. Counters, slicing Suho apart with light blades, nearly severing him completely. Even injured, Suho stays calm. He realizes something new. The power never disappeared. It was transferred. From within the Apostle's own shadow, Sheikah emerges and delivers the fully stacked Demon Strike. The blow obliterates the Apostle's defenses, sending him crashing into a distant cliff in a cataclysmic impact. For the first time, the Apostle is utterly broken. He realizes Suho has done the impossible, transferred skills to a shadow soldier. But the battle isn't over. Inside the ruined body of Lai Min-sung, resistance awakens. His shattered consciousness resurfaces, enraged and humiliated. Consumed by hatred, Min-sung rejects both fear and control. He tears away the Apostle's armor, screaming that he refuses to be ignored. As debris fills the air, Suho steps forward. In a single instant, he closes the distance and drives a shadow, wrapped fist into Min-sung's stomach. The ground splits apart from the force. The battlefield collapsing under Suho's overwhelming power, signaling that the true climax of the fight has begun. The battlefield is completely silent. Dust drifts slowly through the shattered ruins as Suho stands over the fallen body of Lee Min-sung. His fist is still buried deep inside the man's torso. Thick black shadow veins coil around Suho's arm, binding the dying body in place. The Apostle's borrowed power flickers violently, cracking and collapsing from the inside. Lee Min-sung's armor shatters piece by piece. The illusion of his invincibility crumbles with it. His eyes widen as his breath begins to fail. For the first time in his life, Lee Min-sung realizes something. He is going to die. All the power he stole, all the authority he borrowed from the outer gods, all the humans he sacrificed for stardust. None of it matters anymore. His legs finally give out. His head tilts forward. His hand slips from Suho's sleeve. Lee Min-sung collapses. The Apostle of Iram's vessel is dead. A cold blue system window appears in front of Suho's eyes. Quest complete. Target eliminated. Level up. Beru lets out a sharp breath. Essel drops to one knee. Grey lowers his head. But Suho does not move. He remains kneeling beside the corpse. He stares down at Lee Min-sung's lifeless face, and for the first time since becoming a hunter, he feels something he has never felt before. Not excitement. Not satisfaction, wait. Lee Min-sung was a monster, but he was also human once. and Suho is the one who ended his life. Suho slowly pulls his blood-stained hand free and clenches it into a fist. Minsung's final words echo in his head. Even if you become strong, you will end up like me. Suho realizes something painful. Up until now, everything has been for one reason. To chase after his father. To walk the same road Sung Jinwoo once walked. To reach the same height. But standing here now, Suho understands that this path is not enough. He cannot just become the next Shadow Monarch. He must become something more. Suho lifts his head. His gaze hardens. I won't walk your path, father. I'll surpass it. Another system window appears. Level 40 reached. Class change quest unlocked. But far above the battlefield, a presence is still watching. The Apostle of Itarim. Hidden beyond reality, the Apostle activates an ancient authority known as the Scales of Equivalent Exchange. Across the world, hunters who had consumed stardust suddenly scream in pain. Their stolen power is ripped from their bodies. Their life force is drained. All of it flows into the Apostle. High above Suho, space itself twists. A massive bow of condensed stardust forms in the Apostle's hands. He releases the string. The projectors through the sky and strikes Suho directly in the abdomen. Blood sprays. Suho collapses. His HP plummets violently. A burning corruption spreads through his body, trying to overwrite his very existence. Purification failed. Purification failed. Purification failed. Beru rushes to his side. Essel screams his name. Grey howls. Suho feels his consciousness slipping away. He knows he is about to die. Then he makes his decision. He accepts the class change quest. A gigantic shadow dungeon gate erupts from the ground. Only Suho is allowed inside. As his HP drops to critical, shadow energy explodes outward and swallows him whole. The gate closes. When Suho opens his eyes again, he is no longer on the battlefield. He is standing inside an endless ancient corridor of darkness. His wounds are gone. His HP is fully restored. The real trial has begun. And Suho has stepped into the place where his true destiny will be decided. High above the ruined battlefield, the Apostle descended in a flash of golden light. Lai Minsung's corpse lay broken on the scorched ground, but Suho and his shadow soldiers were gone. There were no mana traces, no gate residue, no signs of escape. The Apostle immediately understood what had happened. A selective gate had opened. Only Suho and his companions had been pulled inside. Rather than anger, fascination crept into his expression. Every time he encountered Suho, reality twisted in unexpected ways. And that made him dangerous. Deep within the newly formed shadow dungeon, Suho balanced on one hand, testing his body. His wound had vanished. His strength felt even sharper than before. But suddenly, the system intervened. System alert. Advancement conditions prohibit the presence of other monarch successors. His shadow dungeon key was disabled. Bond skills were sealed. All external support was locked away. Only Suho was allowed to remain. As he moved forward, he realized something terrifying. This was his original tutorial dungeon. The one his father created. The dungeon where he had nearly died countless times. But now, it had changed. No weapons. No shadow soldiers. No Vulcan horn. No instructions. Everything had been stripped from him. He wandered through endless corridors until a massive door finally appeared. A boss room. The first door inside, Suho found a throne. And seated upon it was someone he never expected to see. Himself. Not his present self, but the Suho who had survived the original tutorial. Hardened, ruthless, and monstrously powerful. The air distorted as that version of Suho stood. Lightning surged across his gauntlets. The dungeon walls cracked under his aura. Suho did not even get the chance to defend himself. The past Suho moved once, and Suho was erased. Not injured, not knocked back, erased. His body vanished in a single showing of absolute dominance. One of the blue life flames in the dungeon extinguished. He had lost a life. The second door Suho revived inside the dungeon, shaking with fear and disbelief. He realized that death here did not end the trial, but it did cost him his limited lives. He ran deeper through the maze and found another boss door. Behind it was something even worse. A nursery. Children's toys scattered across the floor, and in the center sat a small boy. The boy turned. It was Suho again, but as a child, the toys lifted into the air. Dark authority flooded the room. Suho recognized it immediately. Ruler's authority. His own childhood self raised a finger. Reality twisted, and Suho's neck snapped instantly. He died again. Another blue flame went out. Only one life remained. The dungeon reveals its truth. Suho revived, trembling. Then he noticed something horrifying. Hundreds of blue flames covered the dungeon walls. not just his lives, but countless others. This dungeon had devoured challengers before him. Then the system revealed the truth. System error detected. Anomalous interference confirmed. Eliminate the entity beyond the gate before all lives are lost. Suho realizes that the blue flames keeping him alive may not be endless. Even though they allow him to revive, there is no way to know how many lives he truly has left. The thought that his last death might already have been his final chance weighs heavily on him. Still, he forces himself to stand. His body trembles, but his resolve does not. No matter what, he refuses to stop moving forward. The dungeon around him feels unnatural. The corridors twist in impossible angles, doors appear in illogical places, and the entire structure seems designed to confuse and trap him. Suho senses that there are multiple boss rooms inside this labyrinth, meaning the dungeon is far larger and more dangerous than it first appeared. As he advances, an oppressive chill suddenly spreads through the hall. His instincts scream at him to stop. From the shadows, strange floating toys drift forward, moving as if guided by invisible strings. Then he sees something that makes his blood run cold. A child floats at their center, a twisted, younger version of himself. Its glowing eyes hold no innocence, only cruelty and power. Before Suho can react, one of the floating toys detonates, tearing through his leg and blasting him to the ground. Blood pours from the wound as he realizes that these toys are deadly weapons controlled entirely by the child's authority. Then, an even worse presence appears behind him. From the darkness steps the Suho of the tutorial, his old self. This version radiates crushing pressure, wearing Vulcan's gauntlets and moving with terrifying speed. Before Suho can escape, the tutorial Suho kills him instantly. Suho revives at the dungeon's starting point, gasping for air. Rage surges through him as he realizes something horrifying. The bosses can leave their rooms. They can hunt him freely through the maze. This dungeon is not a normal trial. It is a nightmare. Again and again, Suho is slaughtered, sometimes by the child version of himself, sometimes by the tutorial Suho. Each death is more brutal than the last. He is crushed, blown apart, decapitated, and shredded repeatedly. Yet he refuses to give up. Finally, exhaustion and despair begin to creep in. Suho collapses against the wall, questioning whether this dungeon even has another boss room. For the first time, he fears that this might be a prison with no exit. But then he remembers his vow. If he is going to grow stronger, he will become the strongest. With renewed determination, Suho uses his own blood to begin mapping the maze. Every death becomes data. Every route is recorded. He will carve a path through this hell with his own life if he has to. Outside the dungeon, the world above is thrown into chaos. The Hunters Association announces an emergency ban on Stardust after discovering it causes severe memory loss. Investigations into illegal Stardust production begin immediately. Then shocking news breaks. Lee Min-sung, former Vice Guildmaster of the Reaper Guild, is found dead. His exposed connection to the Stardust network sends shockwaves across the world. Lim Tai and the Hunters Association suspect that Lee Min-sung's death may not have been natural. Evidence suggests a masked hunter was present during his final moments. At the same time, another shocking discovery is made. A miner has gone missing. His name is Sung Suho. The association quietly realizes the truth. The mysterious masked hunter who killed Lee Min-sung is Suho himself. Among them, Park Dujin, an apostle, examines Suho's photograph and smiles. He has found his target. Deep in the dungeon, Suho sits in silence, surrounded by blood, drawn maps etched into the stone floor. His breathing is steady, his eyes burn with focus. He is no longer just surviving, he is studying the maze. And somewhere in this looping hell, Suho knows there is a way out. This time, he plans to find it. Deep inside the shadow dungeon, an unbearable silence hangs heavy in the air. Beru paces frantically through the darkness, his wings beating erratically, unable to hide his fear. 2 full weeks have passed since Suho entered the gate, and there has been no sign of him since. Essel stands nearby, just as worried, while Amid appears outwardly calm, though even he cannot fully hide his unease. Beru lashes out at Amid, accusing him of being heartless for speaking so coldly while Suho's fate remains unknown. Essel steps in, reminding Amid that Suho is not just a child following his father's shadow, but someone who has already walked through hell on his own. Amid finally responds, revealing that while he never met Sung Jinwoo, he has personally witnessed Suho's brutal training, his unbreakable will, and his refusal to give up even when his body was pushed beyond its limits. Amid declares with certainty that Suho is no longer weak, and no longer a child. His words calm the others, planting a fragile but growing belief that Suho is still alive. The scene shifts back to Suho himself, now trapped inside the terrifying class change quest. He faces distorted versions of himself that are far stronger than any enemy he has ever encountered. First, he confronts a tutorial version of himself, a level 99 Soul Striker who destroys him instantly. Each time Suho dies, the system revives him, forcing him to repeat the nightmare again and again. Then Suho is forced to face an even more horrifying enemy. A baby version of himself, innocent in appearance but possessing overwhelming ruler's authority. This childlike version crushes Suho repeatedly, suspending him in midair with invisible force, snapping his bones and killing him again and again. Each death leaves Suho in agony, but instead of breaking him, it sharpens his awareness. He begins to adapt. With every brutal failure, Suho studies their abilities, learning how their ruler's authority works. He realizes that while the dungeon was designed to break him, his repeated deaths instead making him stronger, mentally and strategically. He is no longer simply surviving, he is evolving. After many attempts, Suho notices something new on his map. A corridor he has never reached before. The only unmarked path. He senses that the baby version of himself is guarding this road, trying to prevent him from reaching it. Realizing this may be his only way out, Suho comes up with a desperate plan. Instead of fighting head-on, Suho wraps his own ruler's authority around his body like invisible armor. He charges forward, colliding directly with the baby version's crushing pressure. At the same time, he throws his jacket into the child's face, using the brief distraction to slip past. For the first time, Suho escapes their grasp. He sprints down the unmarked corridor, and finally discovers a massive ancient gate hidden deep within the dungeon. A third gate. Proof that there is another path beyond the nightmare he has been trapped in. However, before he can celebrate, he senses something approaching. The Soul Striker version of himself is already coming. The dungeon trembles as the Soul Striker advances, his presence suffocating the air itself. Realizing he has only seconds, Suho throws himself at the gate and forces it open just in time. The Soul Striker's hand nearly reaches him, missing him by mere inches. Suho slams the gate shut behind him. Panting and shaking, Suho realizes he has finally escaped those two monsters. But the relief is short-lived. From the shadows ahead, another version of himself steps forward. This Suho is neither a child nor a Soul Striker. His eyes glow cold blue. Twin blades pulse with deadly energy in his hands. His presence radiates pure bloodlust. Suho realizes in horror that this dungeon is far from over, and that his next battle may be against the most terrifying version of himself yet. Suho steps into his next trial and comes face to face with something far more terrifying than any monster. Standing before him is a perfect copy of himself. Caught illusion. This is another Suho, a version that exists in a different timeline. His doppelganger radiates overwhelming pressure, wielding two legendary weapons at once. One is Rocken's Fang, a blade Suho knows well. The second is Vulcan's Horn, another high-grade weapon. When Suho checks the clone stats, he realizes the other Suho is only level 32. Suho himself is level 40 and surpasses him in every stat. Confident that he has the advantage, Suho launches forward and begins the fight. Their first clash sends shockwaves through the chamber. Suho's kick is blocked by both blades at once, and sparks scatter across the stone floor. For a moment, Suho feels excited. This is finally an opponent worthy of him. Then the clone activates multiple enhancement skills: Iron Body Reinforcement, Grassland Gale, Giant's Armor. The clone suddenly becomes faster, tougher, and far more dangerous. Suho realizes the clone is using skills that should not even be accessible at his level. The battle rapidly turns one-sided as the clone moves like a storm, forcing Suho onto the defensive. The clone unleashes Storm Slash, and Suho is forced to answer with the same skill. Their blades collide in a massive explosion that cracks the dungeon floor. But Suho is shocked when he is suddenly wounded despite believing he dodged the attack. That is when strange memories begin invading his mind. He starts seeing battles that never happened. Scenes of Brokey being cut down. Scenes of Suho flying on Miho's back. Memories that do not belong to him. Suho realizes the clone is attacking not only his body, but his mind. Each wound forces fragments of another timeline into his consciousness. The clone then summons a Shadow Knight, turning the fight into a 2-on-1 battle. Suho is pushed to the edge as he is relentlessly attacked from all sides. His weapon is knocked away, leaving him defenseless. The Shadow Knight charges to deliver the killing blow. Suho grabs its sword with his bare hands, allowing it to cut into his palms as blood pours down his arms. He refuses to let go. In his anger, Suho finally snaps and confronts the system itself, demanding to know why he is always forced into impossible trials. At that moment, something changes. Shadow energy surges into Suho's hands. The Shadow Knight is forcibly absorbed into his body, forming an obsidian shadow gauntlet over his arm. When the clone attacks from behind, Suho blocks the strike bare-handed. The entire dungeon shakes. Suho finally understands the truth. The system is not shaping him. He is shaping himself. With newfound resolve, Suho launches a brutal counterattack. His shadow armor spreads to his leg, forming a blade around his shin. He flips midair and slams his transformed leg into the clone, sending him crashing across the chamber. Suho follows up with devastating punches, overwhelming his other self with sheer power and will. The final blows shatter the dungeon wall as the clone collapses. Defeated, system notifications appear. Suho has cleared the impossible trial. A new title is granted, increasing his stats based on the damage he endured. The clone fades away, but traces of the shadow power remain within Suho. Then the system presents Suho with 3 evolution classes. The first offers a fixed, predetermined path. The second would reset him completely and erase his shadow powers. The third offers an unknown hidden class, but strips him of everything he has built. Furious, Suho refuses all 3 choices. Instead, he forcibly merges all 3 orbs together. The system reacts in shock. A class override is triggered. All 3 energies collapse into Suho's body in a blinding explosion, completing a forbidden transformation. Suho stands unmoving at the center of the blast as the dungeon fades into darkness. His true evolution has begun. Deep inside the shadow dungeon, Beru completely loses control. His body trembles as panic and grief overwhelm him. He scratches the obsidian floor until his hands bleed, crying out for Suho. 3 weeks have passed without any sign of the young monarch. No messages. No trace. Nothing. The crushing silence convinces Beru that something terrible may have happened. Essel stands beside him, pale and shaken. Even she struggles to believe her own words as she tells Beru that Suho is still alive and still fighting. Amet, who normally speaks with confidence, admits that Suho's disappearance feels unnatural. There is no mana trace, no portal residue, and no sign of where he went. Suddenly, Grey senses a distortion in space. A radiant portal tears open inside the dungeon, flooding the room with light. Suho calmly steps out of it, completely unharmed and glowing with power. He greets everyone casually, as if he had only stepped out for a moment. Beru and Essel break down in emotional relief while Amet quietly smiles with pride. The scene shifts to the Hunter Association headquarters. Jinwoo demands answers, but the chairman confirms that Suho has vanished without a trace. Dangerous rumors are spreading, including accusations that Suho may be connected to Lai Minsung's death. Genko strongly denies this and believes the disappearance is connected to the Apostle of the Aram that Suho warned them about. An emergency alert interrupts them. A massive dungeon break erupts in the middle of the city. Enormous monsters pour into the streets, crushing vehicles, destroying buildings, and killing civilians. Hunters desperately attempt to contain the disaster, but the monsters are far stronger than normal dungeon creatures. High above the battlefield, the Apostle watches from a rooftop. He manipulates the monsters like puppets and deliberately turns the destruction into a public spectacle. He enhances a monster using his power and has it brutally crush a B-rank hunter named Wang Jianghang, killing him in front of everyone to shatter morale. As a terrified D-rank hunter is about to be killed, Suho suddenly appears in a flash of violet energy. He annihilates multiple monsters in seconds with overwhelming speed and precision. He then uses Arise, resurrecting the shadows of fallen monsters and unleashing a phantom legion across the city. But something new happens. Instead of raising fallen hunters as soldiers, Suho's shadows wrap around their bodies and form permanent shadow armor and weapons. System windows confirm that Suho has created real, registered shadow equipment with stats and durability. Beru realizes that Suho has awakened a completely new class. The system declares Suho as Class Irregular White Shadow, being not bound by the laws of previous shadow monarchs. Suho also gains a new exclusive skill called Shadow Creation, allowing him to forge permanent weapons and equipment directly from shadow. For the first time, Suho removes his mask in front of the surviving hunters and openly reveals his identity. He asks them to stand with him and fight. Elsewhere in India, the Asra Guild is found completely destroyed. Thomas Andre discovers the ruins and realizes that the enemy responsible is in Korea. He prepares to move. High above the world, a mysterious divine portal opens in the sky, revealing a radiant figure and a massive dragon, signaling that far greater forces are now watching Suho. The war has truly begun.